When we've seen players just stick onto the tanks, stick onto the assassins, Vivel does both equally well, although I'm a bit more biased to the assassins.
Ooh, I like the assassins, especially after one of the matchups we had on day number, I believe it was 2 or 1. So fast-paced, absolutely brutal. And speaking of brutality, this is in fact the boss fight for Geltec Cyber Team. In fact, for all rosters, of course, every contender must meet Team Vitality to claim the trophy. And fun fact, Vitality has yet to miss a grand final appearance in MWI. They are always there. But is this time going to be different? Is Geltec Cyber Team going to take them down? Well, obviously it's up to them to decide, but it's 2 massive battles about to be underway. And again, both teams undefeated. Will it be smiles? Will it be heartbreak? Well, again, it's based upon how they end up playing. Now, fun fact as well, both teams also eliminated Falcons from this tournament. They will no longer get more club championship points than what they got making it to the knockout round. That includes Falcons MENA and Falcons Indonesia. So the history between the two is immense.
Geltec Cyber Team, what they were able to show off yesterday against Team Falcons MENA, it was just strong mindset. They had a difficult game number 1. It really looked like it was going to end quickly and it would be Team Falcons MENA in this semifinal today. But then they held strong and they showed off why they've made it this far.
That's right. Tamirka, I got to ask you, man, losing a map. Now, for most teams in a series, we don't really bat an eyelash at that. We'll mention it. It is what it is. For Vitality to lose a map against Falcons Indonesia, it was said on the desk, it was almost like the world turned upside down.
I do agree, you know, it's a bit concerning, maybe a lot concerning if you're looking at the track record of the team and how dominant they've been throughout MWI history. But I think I'm pretty happy. I think the Vitality fans should be pretty happy as well that they got a reality check very early on in the knockout stage and they were able to recover. So I think more props to the women here because they were able to recover in such a short period of time after getting come back like that. The mentality stayed strong. They went back to the drawing board and they cooked up a fantastic early game draft to close it out.
Renmar, I was hearing rumors that when Vitality went back on stage to go into that final map against Falcons Indonesia, they were shaking, physically shaking. But after watching them beat Falcons Indonesia, I think it was pure anger.
Yeah, we saw Vivian on her show. What more can you ask for in a backs against the wall Team Vitality who are fighting for tournament life with all of the pride? She gets her most iconic pick and she had an iconic performance. So if they were shaky behind the scenes, it definitely didn't show in game.
Nope, it was I think pure anger is what we saw. Oh my lord. The Cho pick was amazing, by the way. Like the amount of times she was able to catch Zev on a Harley, it was just ridiculous. An orange buff steal at the start of the game. So for Geltec, I really hope they've studied that. I really hope they take it away from Vivian.
Yeah, let's see if there's going to be a way for them to deny it. Maybe not try to overthink it. I like that, especially up against a team like Vitality. We talked about Vivel earlier, who is very flexible in the type of jungler that she'll get. My personal favorite, and it is because of a bias of mine, you know my favorite pick, the Akai. Taking it away from her, I feel like it's a great call by Geltec Cyber Team.
Vitality have really just relied on that Panda to get through a lot of these games. Heck, 3 games out of 3 just yesterday up against Falcons ID on the Panda. So I like it, but also it's kind of like the Claude for Winnie type of situation. I feel like for Vitality especially, it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you're going to let the Akai go, we're going to pick it up. Now that it's finally banned out, we get to see some more of those prio picks, maybe some more of the picks that were hidden by Vitality from the group stage all the way to top 8.
Yeah. Let's see if Vitality has much more left in the tank. Oh, they're taking away the Hirara, of course, from KOA. We touched on the Aulus earlier in the pre-match discussion, and that should be a possibility here for Geltec. I want to see them consider their options. I want to see them get creative, maybe even bring back picks like such as the Julian if it works out well for them. That was the pick that put Kiowa in the map 2 years ago.
For Geltec Cyber Team, though, they have something in their back pocket, and that's Coach Osprey, who has been absolutely phenomenal in leading this roster. Coach Osprey, going into this hero selection, you've already seen some of the bans. What do you think his game plan is going to be?
Well, it looks like right now Geltec are just taking away some of the most annoying picks to deal with. If you're an assassin, if you're a team that wants to play somewhat steady so that your side of the river and jungle is safe, and then you'll find your moment, go for that explosive play, and then snowball from there. All their 3 bans scream. They want to protect their river. They want to make sure they have a good XP matchup.
No tempo control, right? Like they want to have that. And it's equal amounts of respect from Vitality. We heard the spicy comments from Cine.
Yeah.
Don't put us to sleep with the game.
Yeah.
So we'll see here. With the Hirara banned out, it's going to be the Baksha also taken away. Knowing again, Geltek, even when they're not on Assassins, they rely on fast tempo gameplay. So it's all about that Baksha, all about the early rotations to get an advantage before Turtle 1.
All right, with Esmeralda gone, Apakito, Freya trade is up in the air. Fovius priority as well. I wouldn't take it away from Geltek Cyber Team also to later on show some flexibility through their mid lane pickups. There have been some teams who have picked up the Sicilian. I love MWI because a lot of my favorite picks, even though quite cheesy as they are showing up. But teams who are willing to play that risk have shown some good results. Whether or not they won the game, but they get good results in-game with high KDAs. You see the opposing team struggle with it. So we mentioned some of the power picks. Let's see if they'll go another way.
Geltek Cyber Team are taking a while for that first pick. Valentina
Whoa.
as first pick for Geltek Cyber Team.
I did not see that coming. I think they're looking way too closely at what Cine could potentially show up in the mid lane with. Either like an Eve or a Farsa. This feels a little bit of like an overthink. But then at the same time, you have the Atlas, so you're trying to turn off the possibility of Vivian picking that up.
I think they're setting up for the Atlas pick themselves here. Possibly a Sora as well, trying to go for the CC combo up against Vitality. Controlling that neutral objective has been one of the main winning conditions for Vitality, so taking it away from them could be the play. Freya, though, and the Atlas, they don't care about the Valentina. They'll go straight through, brute forcing their way through a Fatal Link steal.
Oh, they checked the bluff of Geltek and they said, all right, go ahead, we don't care. We're still going to go for the Atlas, even though we're giving it to you. Still, though, that means that Geltek can have an idea of what to expect, especially from the pick of Shell later on. Whoa. It will be a gold laner that would want to pick up the Purify. Got to be careful with shaking your teammate's arm there. You don't want to yank it off accidentally.
You know, I said they looked nervous coming into the venue, but after that little ordeal, I think they look just fine. They're feeling comfortable. They're in their zone.
Yes.
And Geltek Cyber Team is ready to take on the previous champs.
There you go, carrying the Balaric picked up for Geltek Cyber Team. Now, this could be the opportunity for Vitality to go for the Eve again. Could be stolen by the Valentina, but I feel like they picked up the Atlas so that they can overwhelm the Valentina with as many big ultimates as possible to kind of like make it difficult.
Yeah. But now with the Beleric there, this puts a lot of pressure on XP and jungle to have the mobility, because Team Vitality are going to be going around the map much quicker, which plays so much to the playstyle of Vitality. Quick, fast rotations, dominate, and don't give your opponent any breathing room. While for Geltek, the first 3 picks, as good as they are for the current metagame, we've talked about Beleric, especially on Stream B, as one of the best roam picks that you could go for now. I do not see that tempo match from them just yet. They need to match the speed that Vitality are going to be going for, and that makes it even harder knowing that in the center of the map, you're getting controlled by a Juice In.
They got tons of CC Renmar, but no one to really deal with the carry. Now that's a concern for me. Vitality have utilized the Freya to beat the carry before, but it's a different kind of Freya. Where usually we see the Flicker, we maybe will see a Vengeance, and it's technically still flex for the Freya.
Yeah. And the tough part is, if ever they're looking for more of an item-heavy carry in the jungle, let's say in the back of their heads they're thinking, hey, maybe we could put in a Yi Sun-shin for Vivo so that you can match his damage somewhat, a little bit of a mid-range option. That's the beauty of the Beleric in this current metagame. You have picks like that that could be great, but then you're always overthinking, what about those damn thorns that's going to be coming out of this tree? How do we stop that?
Phobia's ban is great here, so if they want to flex the Freya, it'll be good into the XP now, because usually a lot of teams, especially before the patch drop, before the Phobius nerf, would just go straight up carry Phobius to limit the Freya instantly. Wherever you go, you're going to be into a bad lane matchup. So now for Vitality, I think they're going to have some of their prio picks banned out, mainly for Chell. Those weak side picks should be taken out, as again, they've already banned the Phobius. It really looks like they want to put the Freya in XP.
Geltek.
Unless it's set up for like an Arlet pick or something, right?
I'm trying to get into the mindset of Geltek right now, seeing that, they take out the Phobius, you don't have the EXP counter, but it still wouldn't be too crazy to see a world where in that Freya still somehow ekes it into the gold lane. Maybe I'm just missing a pick to fully add the evidence to that idea. So let's see, because even if they go for something like I don't know, Alice in the jungle, you're still lacking the damage. The biggest problem, even if you put Freya into the gold lane, you won't have the damage you need to take down that carry. You'll have a lot of dive. Maybe that's what Vitality's thinking about.
maybe we go back to that discussion we had earlier about the Hive Queen and how I personally like her on Assassins a bit more.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that too much. Only one Hirara game, and after that is mainly just the Akais. But with the Juicin, a utility mid, with the Atlas and even the Freya, I wouldn't count out the possibility of a Ling, a signature, old signature of Vivo,
Yeah.
a Hayabusa to walk up as well as they try to get a lane bully to get carry low, a winning lane in gold.
There's no hard crowd control just yet.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So Geltec read the Yi Sun Shin and still want to take it away as a option. Even though they have the Belleric with them, they're still, you know what, play it safe. You mentioned the Assassins. Without any hard crowd control, single target, a Lancelot would be all right. Get those iframes up. You can extend team fights to the point where you're uncomfortable and they might lose their position and you suddenly find Tokyo wide open and that carry left alone.
So let's see it. Vitality, what's the decision gonna be? Coach Cassius thinking about it real hard here with Cine, discussing the possibility of an assassin pickup. No marksman in the jungle, but it will be the Moskov picked up first. They will indeed move the Freya into XP. And now the big question is, will Vivo finally get her hands on a damage dealer, or will it still be tank?
Very basic attack focused are the side lanes of Team Vitality that I wouldn't take it away from them from still putting in something tanky in the jungle, but at the same time, damage with all that damage sounds kind of good. Maybe it's just like a little greedy nature sometimes in MLBB. But for Geltec, I think it's tough to ask of them for more range. So they will just lean on the idea of them having a lot of dive. So they need a strong team fighting comp. And of course, who is stronger than the Aulus of KOA and Liubon's Paquito, who I told her myself personally, I'm a big fan of how she plays the Paquito. Still though, against the Atlas, kind of scary.
For sure. I mean, you got the CC immunity for the Aulus, but not for the Paquito. That's, I think, the reason why we've been seeing a lot more Atlases, right? With the utility jungle and the Paquito, it gives the Atlas so much more ways to just lock people down. But the Aulus for Geltec works in a different way. It's kind of like a third carry. You have the Paquito up top, the gold lane on a carry, and the Aulus is kind of there as a bait. We saw that bait just yesterday. It looked really bad. It looked like Kyoe just face checked out of nowhere, but she was able to CC immune her way out of the skirmish, and the whole team just collapsed on everybody else who've already used the resources.
Yeah, commit too much on that Aulus, and Geltec's gonna be very happy with that. Fredrin.
Wow.
So they still do lean in on the tank, which theoretically does have the damage the more you hit him. So in a way, they sort of balance it out, just not traditionally. They have a lot of crowd control and some great setup for the Moskov and the Freya, not gonna lie.
One team knows what it is to be a champion. They've done it many times. Can they do it again? If so, they've got to get through Geltec's cyber team. To be the boss, you have to beat the boss. It's the battle of the undefeated Team Vitality versus Geltec cyber team for our last spot into Grand Finals. Brigida, Gideon, let's get it on.
Thank you so much, Reflections. We are looking for our second grand finalist, and it has to come down between these two teams so far. Geltec have fought so hard for so long, and now they face up the current defending champions in Team Vitality.
They also have stuck with their very own identity throughout this entire tournament, and not a lot of teams have found their way around that, if not really struggled up against Geltec. But if there's one thing we know, Vitality too have shown some cracks in their armor. They're more prone to the longer games, so I wonder if Geltec can afford to do the same against the quote-unquote team to beat.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in as well. I mean, I didn't get to personally witness it on a stream or cast that game when they decided to whip out the Aulus in the first place, but it's absolutely correct. It does work as a secondary carry with the help of the true damage. Now, luckily, they've actually made sure that Aulus is a little bit more auto attack reliant to get his damage out. But that's where the curiosity comes through, because when I'm looking at the side of Vitality, as much as I love the fact that they've got Fatal Links, there's just so many, like, quote-unquote micro CCs to deal with. Your CC immunity is like great, but there's a limit to it.
Yeah, and how could they really time these engages as well? Because I feel like GCT has a very melee type of lineup who really just wants you to close in on their opponents. Might just be willing to fight you directly instead of them trying to find a workaround around let's say, the angles or potential entries. So let's see what the timings are going to look like, because even now you're seeing how Jinny's not having the best experience in the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, that's not surprising to anybody. It's, yes, you will always get that first move, so what? What can we do about this? And now, at least from GCT's perspective, you know what? Since we do get that first move, let us at least try and contest for some of these smaller camps on the side, whether for EXP Crab or even Gold Crab. Ideally EXP this time around, because they want to make sure that their junglers stay ahead of the game. Allus, he needs those levels on top of those items, but if you don't have the gold, at least get the levels.
Yep, and there's a bit of help now for Fumi Echo coming in from Vival, but Quejo will be there too to anticipate the rotations. At least they got their level 4s already. They will both be ready for this upcoming turtle, but it's currently just Vivian to hold it down. Oh, wait, Fumi Echo actually gets bursted down. That's a first blood for Geltec Cyber team on the EXP laner.
That was a little weird. They didn't get the ult, but now they're going to look for the contest, and now the fight breaks out. City in trouble!
All alone in that moment, and the Fatal Links copied by Geltec. But Vival actually the ones who are able to secure the first objective. Can she get out of this? The taunt won't actually make it. Fumi Echo jumping in. There she goes, but Geltec might not want to commit to this fight anymore.
And they don't have to. And just look at the positioning of Luban on this Paquito, right? It's really important for Paquito into the Freya matchups to not think, hey, I'm here to kill the Freya. If she makes a mistake, sure, but 90% of the time it looks like this.
Yeah.
You lose her abilities and she's beating you down the lane.
Oh, Chelgok to dodge that taunt coming in as well. Potentially another advantage for Geltec, because so far they've already gotten some sort of advantage in the XP lane. Gold lane 2 is looking like they're starting to put a bit more attention there.
It's the perfect amount. It's not enough to completely dominate, but to make the lane obsolete with the help of that first kill going off to Luban. Man, Festival of Blood already active. You're getting a lot more spell vamp. So no matter how bad the trade is, as long as there's a fat wave coming to your side, first item War Axe as well, there's no way they can make that happen.
And there's nothing interrupting Geltec from doing what they want to do across the map. Like, Kyo is just able to accomplish the farming that you really would want to get in for the Olos. Vitality, on the other hand, it's more of like us expecting the more proactive approach from them this time around, but at the same time, Geltec just don't seem like the best targets to do so. Cleaving App's already committed. Rapid Try and forced out from Quejo, but Vivian's already very low to look for anything further.
There was a moment there, but both sides, it's like the Wild Wild West. You're waiting for that bell to drop. And once it hits clock hits 12, they're going to start unleashing shots at each other. It's so dangerous, because you can see that whoever accidentally uses their ult first is probably going to lose that fight. But even so, without the Axe Cleave, KOA has no clean entry to get on into these neutral objectives. And that's something that we have to keep in mind here. KOA has a lot of things to worry about, so they need other people. Ideally, maybe the Belleric. I would say maybe even bait with Luban on this Paquito to try and get the first motion from Vitality.
Yep, so it doesn't all come down to them being scattered by Fumi Echo, also just surprising them through the entry to the factory descent. But as it's looking right now, Conceal's already coming in for Geltec. They're on to Vival, but they decide to change targets. It's actually Vivian right now looking for one. She tries to set up two, but the Purify is actually going to be available. But Vivian is actually just bursted down, both with the damage coming in from Tokyo. There goes the Retribution from Kyoei, securing the objective, but they are going to lose Tokyo in the process. It's Fumi Echo trying to get trades. Double kill for her, and that's the disengage.
Communication is starting to break down here. Paquito ended up chasing away City, but finding the kill eventually here. And that's the important thing. They're still getting these trades, but I think the better decision this time around was actually to still peel back. You cannot afford your win conditions, that late game scaling and true damage from Kyoei to go to waste. And the same can be said about Tokyo. So both of them have to be the ones remaining. Everybody else is dispensable.
Yeah, I thought it would have been really bad, because Vivian was literally trying to go right in front of their face despite her already being shredded down. And mind you, it's just 6 minutes into this game, but you already have to see the amount of damage that Geltec are able to do. These are just basic attacks we're talking about, but oh! Oh, even Chell is struggling by just a bit. Crimson Beacon in! SOD will land onto Liubon. Does Vivian want to go for the setup? Doesn't have the Fatal Links, and now it's just gonna be Quejo. But even then, she's also gonna be able to escape.
And finally, a moment to get that breather in. That's the thing, right? When you are so close to the grand finals, a simple mistake could just be due to desperation or just getting a little overly excited. They have to stay in the perfect median. As we see Fumieko trying her best to clear this wave. She was willing to put her body on the line for a tier 1.
It's like she even skipped the minions and literally went forward, but that wasn't enough to really push Geltec out of the turret. So now they're able to at least get trades up top, because I feel like that's also something they saw coming. But so far, Geltec, it's a surprising way that they're able to deal with Vitality in the early game.
And I love the fact that they're so hyperactive. They're not allowing Vitality to have that moment to be like, okay, let's look at the information, dissect it, and then come up with a plan. GCT, they're in your face. You make the choice now. Whether it's good or bad, at least make a choice.
And look at where they're positioned. Currently, the control they've shown in the river is insane. It's Vitality who we're seeing struggling to actually get control of majority of the map.
And look at this, with the lead developed by Luba on this Paquito, that top side already cleared out. Chell just gets the golden snap, but it's really not going to be enough. Chell kind of far behind here, and Vitality, they're trying to slow down this turtle take.
Yeah, at this point, they're just really trying to mirror, but Cine very low now on the Jusin with just some punches here and there from Liubon and the pokes from Sonchike. Vival, how is she even going to find the right entry? Sonchike taking the Fatal Links as well. Fumieko does have the Valkyrie Descent, but it's Vival who wins on the Retribution. Vivian just trying to get away. City 2 very low on HP, but Sonchike finds the trade on Fumieko. City will have to go down. It's a 1v1 right now between Liubon and Chell, but Chell might not want to fight anymore. There is going to be some respo from GCT.
I think it's something back in the least, but they connected, and Sonchike almost one auto attack. No, Chell gets out with a flicker just in time.
So close. Vitality are being forced into these positions by GCT, and who could have imagined seeing this outcome heading into this matchup?
The best way to explain how GCT is playing, it's all about tempo. They are the ones setting the pace of the game. Vitality merely react to it every single time because GCT, they're lining up the questions. Hey, how are you going to deal with our split push on top side when our neutral objective is up? How are you going to deal with 2-item Paquito already setting up themselves up really, really good? Even Alla's 2 items as well.
Their ability to kite is insane. The way that Vitality seem to always be ready for at least a potential engage, but every single time, look at Cine. Majority of the time, she has to go through the worst positionings just because of how GCT are dealing with the team fights. And they almost are the ones mirroring what GCT are doing.
Almost. Like, it's close, but not far enough. And that's where KOA is super dangerous, right? That Wrath of the Dryads, as much as we hate Fatal Links and how you can't really react to it, the same can sort of be said about the Wrath of the Dryads as a counter-engage tool when you're so deep in that sauce. And not everybody has anti-CC here. Vival, doesn't really matter. As long as you survive, that's great. But Cine, in particular, with no Purify and only taking Sprint, it's a risky gamble. But at the same time, if Vitality can dodge those ults, they can chase them down like right now.
Okay, but Quejo will be very tanky to deal with. And Vitality are always forced to send someone to their sides just because of what Liubon has been doing across the map. It's a 3-0 Paquito who is just slightly ahead of her counterpart, and that's Fumieko, but the burst on Vivian! The roamer's down for Vitality even before the Lord.
A beautiful piece of chain CC. Quejo just played that perfectly. I mean, what can I really say about that? Oh, I know!
Cine doesn't have the sprint, or maybe she just used it, but it's also not enough. KOA just has her eyes set on the Lord as Quejo and Liubon deny Vitality of any contest.
Beautiful game so far, but this is their style. GCT, early to mid, just nasty stuff, and they're still trying their hardest to crack open this mid-tier 1. The floodgates open. As soon as mid-tier 1 opens up, the rest of this jungle becomes a lot easier to start fights against Vitality.
Yeah, Vival is definitely not going to be able to freely do what she wants anymore, but I think it's not just on Vival that we really have to pay attention to anymore. It's how Chell and Cine are almost shut down in their individual lanes. Fumieko, I think there were some attempts here and there, but even then, not even Fumieko is able to open up as much for Vitality.
Yeah, I already think that it's a mistake that Sydney had to take the sprint this time round, and unfortunately the laning phase did not go the way they were hoping for, but at the same time, as long as they can scale towards the later half of the game, like Chell right now really needs to get those 3 items down. We endless battle as Kyoe is in pretty strong shape. I don't think there's a lot of people who can 1v1 her right now. I think even arguably Fumieko, without her vengeance, will lose to Kyoe as of this point.
It's a killing spree too that you actually see on the Olo, so I think the longer the fights, as long as there won't be any direct burst, which I don't think you're seeing from Vitality, Kyoe is pretty much gonna be okay. Like, she could just keep throwing out these high mobility skills and basic attacks to survive, but can she do that against 3, even with additional layers of crowd control? As of the moment, she actually is able to, even in the face of a Valkyrie descent.
All right, let's pull up the item list. Last time we checked 3 items, like, excuse me? Excuse me? That was all it took to deal with 3 members? As if all just isn't too far behind. Wait, do they have enough to anti-heal? Wait, let me just double check this. Sydney has the glowing wand. I don't see anybody else with anti-heal at this point of time. So there's only 1 applicator of anti-heal.
Yeah, that was insane. You already used the Fatal Link. Oh, here you go. It's another Fatal Link though, but this time on the other side, taking down City for the 4th time in a row. Vivian flickering out just to survive. There's no one stopping this Olus from Kyoe.
They're making it real tough, and now they also net themselves an inhibitor tower. Beautifully done by GCT.
Vitality are not even gonna look for a fight there. At least they sent Fumieko up top to somehow manage and trade, but it's not enough. It's a 7k goal lead already in favor of GCT, and Chell had to prioritize the Wind of Nature more than the damage.
I think right now the biggest issue is the fact that GCT really took advantage of the miscoordination of the mid trio specifically, right? Like, Sydney has been taking a lot, so much so, and I would have imagined that the mid duo at least would be communicating more with each other to be able to like peel one off of the other, but they have completely separate roles in the team fights.
Yeah, and it's not the best of hero synergies either. Seeing an Atlas alongside the Jusin, but right now Geltech are just exposing so much more of the weaknesses of Vitality and Tokyo. My goodness, Vivian had to pick up an Immortality after that.
Hey, true damage is already in, and the Trinity build is done. Currently with a 7.4k lead, GCT. This Lord, if they can figure out a way to end it right here after this push, that would be the most perfect time for GCT.
That's going to be a statement. It's going to be a statement right there. Valkyrie descent out from Fumieko, but I think they are going to try and chase. Kyoe is just too quick to move with this Aulus. Quecho will be there too. Doesn't have the Wrath of Dryad, but it's enough. Fumieko could not regroup with Vitality.
If there's one thing that Aulus is particularly good at, other than just dealing true damage and auto-attacking, it's chasing his targets. And I think most people tend to forget that. They think that he's just a traditional bruiser. No, he's kind of alpha-esque, except he just sticks on you.
Yep, alongside damage too.
Alongside damage. I mean, both do. It's true damage, you know? Your stats don't matter when the bar is white, I suppose. But even so, with the Lord now about to crash into their base, this base defense is going to look a little rough.
Yeah, a lot of their wave clear is just going to be from Chell, who's currently doing a lot of catching up, already prioritizing just the winter or the Wind of Nature just to survive. But does GCT force the fight? Quejo trying to close in, already half HP though. Leaving Axe coming in from Kyoe, gets pushed back by the Fear of Misery, but Fumieko from the sides trying to go in with the Valkyrie descent. Vival somehow still alive, popping the Immortality, but the center from Sanjike! And now it's a Maniac from Tokyo, but they don't care about the Savage!
It's not about the ego, it's about closing out this game. This ain't just a simple sprint, it's a marathon. 1-0 so far as Caltech take the very first game from our defending champions. This is gonna be a real series.
That was a bit too clean against the defending champions, and I no longer know what to expect. After that game number 1, we got to see from GCT.
The tempo, that's the problem. Galtech got them early to mid-game with the way that they played their tempo, and they never let the foot off the gas. Beautifully done all across the board, and the technicalities of it, attacking the mid lane, making sure, yes, you have a couple of bad matchups, but we can compensate if we have control. But we're going to be throwing it back over to the panel to break it down for you guys right after these messages.
Oh, things are shaking up in a way we never expected it to do so. Geltech Cyber Team have taken map number 1, and Vitality is now behind in the best of 5 series. Is this the start of the unraveling of the Vitality roster? Welcome back into the studio. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, LaFell, Eterna. Good to see you both. Eterna, my goodness, Geltech. They get it done, and they did so in a relatively dominating way.
And I'm really happy that we get to see that, right? Finally, we see someone can break that formation, I would say, from the defending champions, and it's none other than QA herself.
QA has been a big talking point, of course, and, well, she seems to be leading the charge for Geltech Cyber Team, and Vitality has to find a way to deal with her.
And honestly, I kind of feel like this game, not gonna lie, is kind of over for the first 20 seconds. Because honestly, looking at the draft just now, there's just not enough damage coming in from Vitality, and there's so much heal coming in from GCT, but hey, Osprey, man, he sure knows how to draft.
He does, and he definitely has done his homework coming into this. Obviously, there was a big talking point about Coach Osprey and how well he would be doing, and he's already done well, right, for this Geltech Cyber Team roster. After all, they are undefeated. That was the moniker going into this. Both rosters undefeated throughout groups and obviously here in the knockouts.
I think they both only dropped 1 game. That's correct, right? And so it really just shows, you know, the very best against the very best. And I really do agree with what LaFell said earlier on. It all came back down to the drafts. It's an interesting position to see for Team Vitality that they get drafted in such a corner, because obviously after the first few minutes of the game that you mentioned earlier on, you'd expect Fumi Echo on the side lanes on a hero that is so OP like the Freya to actually be able to carry it through. But unfortunately, I think they were just really falling behind on rotations.
So could you imagine a roamer like Kuejo dealing more damage than Freya or Fumi Echo?
No.
Fumi Echo only did 29,000 damage. Kuejo did 35,000 damage in that game. And part of the reason is because of her passive, where you attack me, I hit you back. But the problem is, you attack me so many times and I just don't die, so you take all the damage.
Tough stuff coming out, obviously, for Vitality. They've got to find an answer, and they need to do so very quickly before the series falls away. The Vitality fans, though, are unwavering in their faith. They are still out there, even after the loss, screaming and going off. Coming into the venue, Geltech Cyber Team, I thought looked nervous, but I guess it was pure concentration. They got on that stage, then they started joking around and having fun, and I knew, okay, they're comfortable, they're great. And even for the side of Vitality, a couple of smiles. One of the highlights, LaFell, yesterday was the fact that Vitality, even though they dropped the map to Falcons Indonesia, during the interviews with Rose, asked, like, what went wrong? They recognized what their faults were, and they came in to fix them. But did they truly fix them? I don't know. Map 1 was tough.
Because personally for me, I think this is a very easy thing to fix, because they noticed that the jungler was hit. So I feel like just pick up your jungler earlier, don't get to all the way to the red 5, and then you have no other choice than the Fredrin, and it should be fine. Because Indonesians, they like to fight. So when they have a draft that don't have enough damage, I feel like game number 2, not going to happen again.
Eterna, let's look at one of our in-game actions, and this will start to tell the story of what ended up unfolding throughout that game number 1. Truly a phenomenal game indeed from the side of Geltech. And Eterna, I can't even imagine what we're going to see in this moment.
Okay, we're 14 minutes in, so it's already a little later in the stage of the game. You can see the Lord marching down on the bottom side of the map as well. And unfortunately, at 14 minutes, it feels like Shell just really didn't have the damage yet. Either she was lacking behind on the farm, or she just really didn't have her items down. But you could see her being the only person to clear on her side. There's not really much that she could have done in this moment. But what I found really surprising was this SOD hitting and her actually going into that. And that's huge, because in the interview that you were referring to yesterday about them taking accountability of their mistakes, it was actually Shell that was like, you know, okay, that was my bad on my part. And I felt like in that particular clip, we see Shell kind of faltering as well in terms of her decision making.
What about Cinny? Now, Cinny has been a big talking point for the side of Vitality, and from what I'm hearing, she is the IGL, one of the more vocal figureheads on this roster. What is Cindy's game plan? What do you think she's telling her roster going into this match number 2? Because she's going to need to get her team behind her.
Well, honestly, for game number 1, it looked like her role for that one is to control. Make sure that the front lines was disrupted. But in the early game, we can see that she didn't have enough time to really farm her own lane. So I really feel like in game number 2, I think she has to be a bit of a carry role, because I feel like in that game, all the weight is on Shell's shoulder. And I think going up against Geltech Cyber Team, that should not be the case. I feel like 2 or 3 members need to do damage. Fumeko could,
but she was disrupted so much by KOA on that Aulus. A lot of true damage, she couldn't do much.
I agree. I think for the moments that we find Vitality in a position of success, even though we've been talking about Vivian so much, even though we've been talking about Vival so much, it's usually Cine that holds a pivotal role, but based on the hero that she's given. Now, we were talking about it during the game as well, the fact that Jushin was nerfed out. So it's a little bit more difficult for her to do the playmaking role. And so when she's given a hero like something like the Valentina, that's a little bit more creative, a little bit more, you know, difficult, like with a higher skill ceiling.
Maybe that's why Valentina
really
first
shows.
pick, right?
Maybe.
Steal it away.
So what do you think hero-wise? Because you actually said it was lost within the first 20 seconds, which I've started to learn from the both of you and everybody else here on this MWI team. Man, the hero pick and bans really does make it or break it from your roster. No matter how good you are, you fall behind in the hero selection, you're pretty much done and dusted by the very beginning. Where did Vitality fall behind? Because you're convinced it was over before it even began.
Honestly, Eterna, I think this is showing the growth of the female scene here in MWI, because before this, Vitality was so strong, even with bad drafts, they can get away with it. Now everyone is at the same level. You make that mistake, you're not getting away with it.
And I thought that they learned from that. I thought they learned from that from last year because when, well, not last year, 2 years ago rather, 2024, because that was the run where they lost against Smart Omega Empress with a different set of coaches. They had Coach Susugaja at the time, and in that best of 7 or best of 5, I completely forgot, but in that series, it looked like they were falling behind on in terms of, you know, drafting, and that's how they really lost against Smart Omega Empress. So with the change of Cassius, you know, him stepping up, they've been undefeated, and then we see a draft like this. So we can say that from the beginning of the entire competition that Vitality had a target on their backs. That much is definitely true because in that first phase, we saw so many of the important heroes from Team Vitality being taken away from them.
Well, they are the boss after all, and everybody has to eventually beat them in order to get the grand finals. This could very well be a historic moment. Now, I know I'm counting my chickens before they hatch, but if Vitality does not make it the grand finals, this is the first time in MWI history that Vitality has not made it, and that is a big, big deal. They already dropped the map earlier just yesterday to Team Falcons Indonesia, something that didn't happen in last year's MWI. This year they have now dropped a second map, this time to Celtic Cyber Team. And we've kind of talked about how the competition amongst the regions and different various regions have been improving. Is Vitality's end and reign starting to come to an end?
Like you said, they are the boss. And usually what happens to bosses is they're not invited into the group chat.
Ooh,
right? Because
okay.
I really feel like, because honestly, if you go to the player lounge, you see all these players, they hang out together, right? So of course they'll be talking, and everyone has theory crafted how to deal with Vitality. And Vitality being the #1 at the top. Everyone wants to take you down. They're not a part of that conversation. So when a team loses against Vitality, they're like, you know why we lost? Because of A, B, and C. So other teams get to learn from that.
That's true. And Eterna, this is something I noticed across multitude of esports, and that if you are the best team and you have one of the biggest fan bases in a game, such as this case with Vitality, when you go out there, any team you play, it doesn't matter if they're one of the top dogs or the underdogs, they are going to give 150% because they want to be the ones to say, I beat Vitality. So every single matchup Vitality goes into, whether it's day 1 or the finals day, every team is giving their all.
No, for sure, for sure. That's definitely what is happening right now. You can even see it every time they get into a certain matchup. It feels like the next opponent that they always, you know, happen to oppose is a lot stronger than the one before that. So it really goes to show how much homework everyone is doing on them, and specifically so in game #1. Team Vitality has found so much success, not just this year, but also last year on Akai. Akai specifically for Vival. And we're starting to see a lot of teams deny the Akai away. So do they want to still stick with the tank jungler system, or will we finally see Vival on one of her really strong heroes like the Assassins?
Well, Vivo is known as the Hive Queen, but on the opposite side, you got Kyoei, the Ice Queen. It's the Queen battle. Who will end up ahead? Let's find out during our pick and bans.
Yeah, right now it looks like Celtic Cyber Team is going to be first pick, Vitality on a second. They're going to be playing in Dangerous Grass. Looks like the Guinevere has been banned quite early, as well as the Marcel from Vitality. And honestly, Kyoei, so far, she's been doing very well with the Aulus. I believe she hasn't lost just yet. If she has, maybe it's just once, but I don't know. Do you think Vitality would just let her get that again? Because you were talking about the Akai. They're not letting Vivo get the Akai.
Super respect. They're taking the Guinevere away, they're taking the Akai away, and I think they should actually consider the Aulus. Or, you know, I mean, this has been the pick for KIOA.
Yeah.
I don't think that KCS has not thought about it. Right? If they didn't decide to ban it in first game, maybe they had an idea of how to take it down. Maybe it didn't work out. Maybe they want to go for something different. Because, you know, Benedetta was her thing last year. Now she has the Aulus. So we're going to see whether or not KCS will actually start to respect it in the first phase. But the Hirara goes as well. So is this starting to eliminate my hopes and dreams for an assassin matchup between these two?
I feel like it's not completely over just yet until we see the EXP. Because I feel like if Vitality picks up something like Esmeralda, which not going to happen because Esmeralda gets banned, it looks like both team... Actually, Turn, I think this is smart, right? Because both teams are opening up the Paquito as well as the Freya, kind of forcing Vitality to just pick up tanks. And maybe KIOA just prefers that because Aulus, after the revamp, is very interesting. He has a way to cleanse crowd control, and when he uses his ult, he has damage reduction, making it so that he can basically fight forever, which is great against tanks. So maybe this is just Osprey's way of saying that, please pick up tanks, that's what we want. Oh, but no, never mind, you're going for the Boxia, interesting.
It could still be flex.
You know what, you're right.
Oh, definitely it still could be flex, but I think for Geltec Cyber Team in particular, Kuejo really hasn't picked it up so far. So we're looking at the idea that this should be jungle, but just for those of you guys back at home and for those of you guys in the venue as well, just keep your peels out for that possibility. Team Vitality though, earlier on we did see the Valentina being prioritized by Geltec. For Vitality, do they want to take the Valentina for themselves here, or do they want to look for a winning lane of their own? Because I feel like that's what they really lacked in that first game.
I feel like you still... Personally, for me, I would actually pick up Carry as well as Freya. It's very honest. You're showing your opponents where each other is going. It looks like they're going for a different route. They do pick up the Carry, because Carry, as of right now in MWI, has been amazing in Turtle. And now the Atlas probably just want a little bit of control. And maybe they're saying no way Geltec is going to pick up Freya, but I kind of feel like Freya should be picked up here.
I feel so weird about this though. I feel really weird about the gold lane matchup and how, you know, volatile it is. Like, obviously there's an argument to be made for Moskov and the Claude, and the carry is great if she gets going, but I feel like in the grand scheme of things, the Claude has a little bit more value, especially in these team fights with his AoE damage, but it looks like they prioritize the carry instead. Geltec as well understand that with the choice of the carry, she's a little bit more, you know, low range, so she'd have to really dive into these particular team fights. They also see the Atlas on the other side. I think Beleric is a good call, and they again take away the Valentina, just really putting Cine in a position to think, all right, you're really good, but what happens if you don't get a hero that can really accommodate?
I feel right now Vitality needs to get lane winners. I think that's the biggest problem, because right now they're kind of winning the mid trio, right? Boxia, Valentina,
Very
Beleric.
strong.
They have Atlas. That's a good start. The problem is, they only have one slot before the other bans come through. So I think Coach Osprey is attacking that mid trio game, making sure that they don't have enough damage, or they don't have enough tankiness, or at least they pick up the Eve Atlas. Honestly, pretty solid.
Exactly. That's what we were waiting for, right? That mid trio. You talked about it as well in game number 1, and it's definitely true. And that's the adjustments that we're seeing Coach
Sup, Remar? Sup, JJ?
really go through. Oh, so that's where he went.
Hey, they love MLBB.
They do. They love MLBB, and we are here for it as well. So coming into the second phase of the draft, the Yves has already been taken down now. Viva, what does she use in this regard?
Honestly, the draft is so flexible because they haven't picked up their EXP laner yet. So I feel like Vitality is actually considering whether they do want to use some kind of damage dealer in the jungle. Because right now, if you're looking at the tanks, there's only really Barats as well as Balman. I think Balman is a pretty solid choice here, but, you know, can they use it?
Balman jungle?
Yes, because here's the thing. Balman isn't great against crowd control heroes. Unfortunately, Valentina as well as Beleric has a lot of crowd control, so maybe not the best for Balman.
Do you think they're going to go something crazy like an X-Borg? If
that's actually
and
not
only
bad.
if Boxia goes into the jungle, that's definitely an option that they can take. And I think, you know, back in the day, we had the option of Alpha.
Yeah. For me, if you see Geltec's gold laner, and it's not like a burst type of gold laner, I actually think you can go for the X-Boy, because Valentina has burst, but with the Eve, I think you're not going to lose mid lane that much. So maybe Geltec won't have enough damage to burst down the Exor. So honestly, not a bad idea.
Which is why maybe they take out the Claude, right? Other than the the laning phase from carry.
Bellman banned, by the way.
They do still eliminate that possibility with perhaps the reasoning of denying that burst potential from the gold lane. The Bellman does get banned either way. So even with the Belleric, they don't want to take the risk. They don't want to take the gamble. So I think in my head, X-Borg, or do they want to play a little bit risky? And do they want to play something more damage-oriented in the jungle, like an Assassin or a YSS, despite going up against something like the Belleric?
Honestly, I feel like YSS is probably the safest one, right? Because if you pick up the Ling, it's strong. But going up against Valentina, Boxia, as well as Belleric does not seem like a good idea. And honestly, them banning out the Moskov, does this not feel like they're setting up for an Assassin?
Yeah.
They're banning out the Claude, they're banning out the Moskov. I feel like worst comes to worst, maybe a Harley. Maybe a Harley, but that's going to be a final pick. So we probably will see an EXP first. I kind of want to see something like a Yuzong, because they need some kind of dive.
For
Vitality.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Really great follow-up. I think Fumi Echo would do amazing on the Yuzong as well. She's been very active. And that's the one thing that I really need from Team Vitality. Fumi Echo needs to be given a hero where she can create crazy plays, like something like the Lapu Lapu, something like the Alice.
Arlet.
Arlet as well, one of her power heroes right now in this meta. But we talked about the YSS earlier, and they're like, nah, we're gonna deny that first. So, Vival, what you gonna do?
I feel like we spent so much time with Osprey in these years. We called 4 out of the 5 bans, right? We called out the Akai, the Esme, the Bellman, as well as the Yi Sin Shin. It's like a good friendship. We haven't seen each other in 1 full year, and yet we still know him.
It's like us.
So now Vitality, here's the question. I feel like to be safe, you do pick up an EXP laner. The problem is, most likely you're gonna get countered, right? I feel like the Alice is difficult because there's a Boxia. You gotta be careful of that. But they still go for the Alice. Man, we call out the heroes, so now Geltec. I'm thinking carry is, Harif is not bad. The other one is Bruno. I don't know, I'm kind of feeling like Harif here.
Imagine being Sonjika now, though. She's like, which ultimate do I pick up? Do I pick Alice's? Do I go for real world manipulation? Do I go for Fatal Links?
I feel like with this draft, I think it's best to take the Eve ult. Because picking up the Atlas, I think you're going to die fast because of that carry.
And it's really great because you want to outrange the carry.
You're really great.
Thank you. You are too.
So now
You
Geltec.
too, Reflections.
You too, Reflections. You know what?
Thank you.
I got to say, when we look at you, it's like looking at us back.
Me
Is
too.
that right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm seeing
I-
myself.
We see ourselves. By the way, Bruno gets picked up as well as the CC. This is pretty smart because, again, Geltec, they have like a singular style of the draft for this one, which is, let's win the lane, right? Bruno wins against the carry, CC wins against the Alice, and then the mid trio, amazing.
Which is not great.
Oh, for
It's not
Vitality.
great for Vitality.
You're right.
I thought that she was going to pick up something like the Clint because she's picked it up before, but they go for something even more extreme like the Bruno. And obviously Bruno has a great window in the early game and also has a great window into the later stages of the game. So it's not necessarily them putting all their eggs in one basket.
And now with Berserker Fury, even the tanks will feel squishy.
Ouch. Ouch. That's all they're going to say. Or maybe they say something different.
This has to be an assassin. The only thing is what? Right? Yuzishin is already out. Do they go for the link?
Lancelot?
Actually, not bad. Not the best, but not bad. Hayabusa? They still go for the link. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this, Eterna, because this does not seem like a linkable game.
It's definitely going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough. And we saw in game number 1, if they lose the drafts, it's not going to be as straightforward.
Oh, the Vitality fans are loud, but can the Vitality team get another W? Tie up the series 1-1, or will Geltic's Cyber team secure their spot in the grand finals by closing it out 3-0? They've got 2 more maps to get there, but they're well on their way to doing so. It's Vitality versus Geltic's Cyber team, map number 2. Brigitte, Gideon, let's do it.
Thank you so much, Reflections. We go into the land of Dawn with the world watching. Everybody looking for somebody to stop Vitality's reign. But with the fans here and how much energy they give, they can only watch and bear witness as our competitors hit the field.
They cannot let any other feeling take over. I know we might be worrying by a bit just looking at how the Ling could potentially be playing into this game, but you have to give out all your energy because if GCT get on the momentum, it's gonna be tough for Vitality here.
Keep in mind that, truth be told, as much as this might not be a lingable game, as long as Vival is able to take out TENGKYU, there's a really good chance that Vitality still win the team fight here. There's not a lot of big damages, nothing that really leans into what they want to do. There is anti-synergy on both sides, but for now, at least, the laning phase is going smoothly.
So they've went for a very specific win condition if that were to be the case. It's not a Ling just constantly going for the kills all over the map, but more on making things difficult for one of the main carries of GCT, which is looking to be, once again, just the Bruno. But Kyoe seems to be on to Chell at this point. Vivian does show up though, but they're not really gonna go for the fight.
Yeah, this is more of a punishment on the GCT side. Like, look at the tax on the HP, right? Getting a lot of the regenerates out of them, while Chell barely missing any EXP or even gold in the lane itself. Now, Newbon, this is the real question here. The fact that they banned out the... Wait, hold on.
Oh, Vivian does find TENGKYU, still has the Purify, but Vival shows up. And right on cue, you mentioned it. This might be the game plan.
Yup. Again, the laning phase going really, really well. They got to be worried. Like, GCT need to recognize and remember that Ling, similar to Fanny, you take trades in lane, you better stay at least above 60% of your HP. Anything lower, there's a good chance that Vival's gonna show up and dive you.
This is why they took out so much of the more safe options in the gold lane, the likes of the Moskov. They just wanted a gold lane that was easier to access for a Ling, but then right now, we did talk about the EXP lane. It seems like Yubon does have a slight advantage over Fumi Echo, at least for now.
This is great. Vitality, understand we don't actually need the first turtle. All we gotta do is see whether GCT wants it more than us, and we're gonna start stealing camps away. Look at that. Minimal. Give it up. Doesn't matter. Ling's gonna get a purple buff on the opposite side, and still, unless GCT recognize, hey, after this turtle, we need to go for a fight and invade on the enemy purple side.
Vitality had enough time to get back despite that steal. Now Fumi Echo though and Vivian are quite low on HP, so Vival just does it alone! Vival steals it all alone! There goes the Real World and the Tempest of Blades, and Sonjik is nowhere to be found! What a macro play by Vitality!
What was that? What was that? Wait, I'm pretty sure that Vival didn't even have the purple buff. Yeah, Vival doesn't have it. They didn't steal it. They decided, you know what? They're actually rushing it down. We're gonna walk back over to the turtle and just take him out. They got 2 kills for no trade on top of the turtle. I think that, I don't want to say that GCT kind of let it happen, but it sort of feels that way.
Yeah, they weren't able to really scout out what else Vitality was doing up on the map. I think they realized it very, very late too. So now they're losing out on a lot of resources. Fortunately, they are somehow balanced out in terms of levels and EXP, but that was a good start for Vitality this game.
Yeah, especially since GCT already had all the advantages that they were looking for. Well, maybe not on the gold side, but other than that, they had first position, first move.
TENGKYU all alone here. There's 4 members and Chell decides to go in with the ultimate and the setup from Vivian as well. There goes the Real World manipulation. The follow-up is just too much from Vitality. Vival constantly finding more and more kills. City gets 2 as well.
All right. I gotta think about this for a moment because they are not playing as confidently as we saw in Game 1. Revitalize was still available technically for TENGKYU, and by no means, I understand by holding your battle spell, knowing that you are going to die, that you want to save it, but at the same time, the cooldowns and knowing that the next turtle, you're not going to have the right abilities just yet anyway. So, at this stage, Vitality are starting to take control. They control the tempo, not like GCT in game number 1. They're making their statements now and loud and early.
And isn't it a dream start for an Assassin lineup too? Because even at this point, Chell just confidently taking on the 1v1 against TENKYU. That's where you see the Revitalize come in, but is it a bit too late? Because the Tempest of Blaze from Vival is going to finish everything off. Doesn't have it now though, so she just might get traded out, and it's a shutdown for Kuejo.
Huge shutdown. Really sad that it had to go onto the roamer. It would have been nice that, you know, maybe Sanj or maybe Kyoe, somebody else. Most ideally, TENKYU, because right now, TENKYU is taking so much hurt. 0-3, 5 minutes into the game. 2 of those deaths ended up being handed over to Vival. One I don't really count, but even so, it's not the best position for any gold laners out there.
Yeah, it's been a bad day for Bruno. I think a lot of Brunos have been going through the most unfortunate of early games. We saw that happen too earlier on, but this time around, hopefully they do get to find some way to get back in the game, because again, it's still a very fast lineup, but just as fast, Vivian finds a target and they decide to pour in all of their resources there. Wrath of Ryan 2 burned it down, but it might not be enough. They only find Sanj for now, but the follow-up from Fumi Echo! Look at that Throne of Ruin as Chell also finds TENKYU in the top lane. So much wins for Vitality all across the map.
A beautiful chain. Are they gonna dive this? Yep, Lubon, you got it. Oh, got the flicker out of them. Doesn't get the kill, and that's fine. Getting the flicker is good enough. GCT, at the very least, are punching back, but Vitality, this is a sweeping victory across the map. Top tier 1 already taken. Another neutral objective while they were at it. And not to mention, just really racking up the kills. 9-1.
Oh, that hurts. Chell just walked up straight to TENKYU, and you already saw how she brought her down to half HP, but Vitality have been heavy on the macro so far in this game. They've been very specific on their win conditions. They've accomplished it in their first rotation, and they need not repeat it a bit too much. Enough to a point where GCT could read them out. Now it's GCT who we are currently questioning in terms of what the game plan currently is.
Well, right now, we just need to see a full-on team fight 5v5. We need to see how Lubon really impacts and influences the shape of the fight, right? Because so far we've only seen the traditional 4v4s, and somebody is always late to the fight, unfortunately. And the chain CC on Vitality has been proven an effective strategy now that they've opened up mid-tier 1. They're just going to reapply that same script here in the jungle.
Whoa, Vivian decided to take that stun from GCT, but maybe at the expense of her life, or maybe not. But Kuejo has enough damage to do it. Fumi Echo holding down 2 members as they also eliminate that Belleric in the back lines.
We trade 1 for 1 here. Not too bad. They still have 20 seconds left. Oh my
whoa,
god.
Whoa, Sanj looking at the target, but City picks up the kill. A lot of help here for Vival in the body block. This is just such a fast game for Vitality so far.
A really fast game, but at least Lubon going to make the difference here and try to at least get some gold back. It's a 4.7k lead, one of the bigger leads that we've seen here from Vitality in this matchup against GCT. 7 minutes into the game, so relatively early at the 8th minute, we're already getting a rough amount of 5k differentials.
Yeah, I can only imagine the amount of gold Chell has right now on this carry too. Look at that.
So rich.
8 to 11 is the gap between their levels. TENKYU, unfortunately, on a 0-4-1 KDA right now, and I feel like at this point, Chell could just confidently take on even the tankiest members of GCT, so that's going to be a problem for Kyoe and Kuejo.
Well, speaking of confidence, you can see that Vitality showing themselves, hey, we're in the mid lane. Are you going to do something about this? Because we're walking to the Lord right now, and you don't have much of a choice. Now, the purple buff on the enemy side is spawning in 2 seconds, and Vival back into the same little shenanigans. They're repeating this script.
Yep, GCT badly want to contest, and they have not paid attention to the other parts of the map, all the while they've been trying to set up for the entries here in this upcoming Lord. But Vitality are just baiting them out. GCT, could they potentially sense this and try to get the or try to bite the bait, because they see that Vival's up top. Kuejo's getting bursted down, has to run away, but the center from Sanj might not be enough because Vitality were prepared. Now it's just the backlines that Vival's really after, because Chell can take care of the rest. Vitality win out big in that team fight.
Oh, wait, it's not over. It's not over just yet. They might actually get a little bit more here, but it looks like they've zoned them out entirely. Cine and Vivi doing a very good job to make sure that GCT don't pull any rugs from underneath them and sneak behind.
Vitality, that was such quick movement. Vival, just for a moment, showed herself up top after stealing that purple buff. And GCT were a bit too occupied with trying to get in and follow up with both Quejo and Sonj because they both went for setups anyway. But the counters from Fumi Echo, the Throne of Ruins, and the real-world manipulations, plus Vival just cutting off the rest of the members as Chell clearly had enough damage. GCT had no way around that team fight.
Oh, Bellerin Wrath of the Dryad's already out. And now, Vival, are you going to go 1v5? Are you really that confident with a 7.3k lead for your team? I don't think so, because Fumieko, he's got it covered down bot.
I think they're very careful now that they have this lead. They've learned so much from game number 1, and they've been playing it relatively simple now that they've already gotten the advantage for themselves. Now most of the holy shields are about to come fall for GCT, and I think it's just really playing for Tokyo that could be the game plan.
I don't know. I just saw Tokyo recently just purchase the Berserker's Fury 10 minutes, 30 seconds into this game. That's a really late pickup here in terms of just scaling timers. And in comparison to the already completed Trinity build on the opposite end, and of course, got to make sure you got some mana regen because Chell wants to stay on the map longer rather than having to recall every single time she runs out.
Ooh, tough though, because that can deal with the front lines, yes, but that Wishing Lantern pickup too from Cine, so that's a lot of items already packed by Vitality just to respond to the lineup of GCT or to whoever might want to start things off for them. And they might not even confidently do so because, as you mentioned, it's just the Haas and the Berserkers. 3k is the goal differential between Chell and Tokyo at this point.
Yep. If the math serves me right, I think it should be roughly around the 16th to 17th minute where we're expecting, okay, a bold attempt coming up from Vivian here, but do we see any counterplay?
Kyoei does try to go for a counterplay. It's Cine who she tries to set up for.
Whoa!
Does find the kill on Cine. They weren't able to accomplish it at first, but now they're gonna be okay. That's a loss for Vitality, at least one by one. GCT trying to be a bit more confident and pushing forward.
Yo, Fumi!
Echo, Throne of Ruin on the far! And the follow-up from Vival, now it's Vitality with the re-engage! They're dealing with the front lines first, one by one. It's the exact same script for Vitality! The spread of the damage, a triple for Vival, and a double for Chell!
What a huge engage coming out of Fumiko! This small woman has some big guns at such high-stakes games, and that is going to be it. Tokyo coming up in 7 more seconds, but the game is already done. A clean wipeout from Vitality to say, no, we're defending champs for a reason. 18-3.
Just when GCT thought that they could have found an opening, a single pickoff to boost their confidence, Vitality clapped back with the exact same sequence they've been doing to win out most of their team fights in this game.
Oh, the set plays here, the hesitation, I think that's what's really the difference here. If a team is not only proactive, but is decisive, that is going to be the big game changer. Because look at this, Fumi was already communicating, we're going to turn this fight instantly. And the backline, Vival, you just deal with them, the rest of us will melt them down. As Chell played a perfect game. Perfect purifies as well.
You have too many guards. Chell is too well guarded in this game.
We're going to be throwing over back to the studio. Break it down for us after these messages.
Vitality fights back. They tie up the series 1-1, and now things just got super interesting. That map was pretty dominant from the side of Vitality. What do you, I guess if you've been giving us a lot of euphemisms, you've been reading a lot of philosophy, how would you describe Geltech Cyber Team's action plan in that map number 2?
I would say for Galtech Cyber Team, they saw the future, but the future is many, and they tried to go for all of them. And that was the bad play, where sometimes, this is what we call Occam's razor, where the simplest answer usually is the correct one, but instead, they tried to correct all the questions, and that was the bad move.
I want to just say something, by the way, that was not planned at all. LaFell literally just freeballed that. And he did such a good job. Very well done. I'm impressed. Eterna, let's start talking about some of these stats, because it's clearly very one-sided.
Yeah, so it goes back down to the drafts. I think even LaFell mentioned it. This looked like a not lingable game. Is that what you said? Yeah, a not lingable game. And when you're up against a composition with a ling and so on and so forth, well, basically any assassin of that matter.
Yep.
The early game, that window is so important, right? Because that's when the assassin is at its weakest, and that's when the opportunity arises for you to try and pressure the ling. And it felt like Galtech was unable to utilize it to their advantage.
And I feel like this is why they're champions, right? Because they saw a small opportunity. The moment they got that Berserker Fury, they're like, you know what, you gave us an advantage, we're not letting this go.
We just saw, just for a second, KOA versus Vival, again, that Hive Queen versus the Ice Queen, and it's been highly entertaining. Only one queen, though, will get to play for the championship, and Vitality is coming back quick. It's now tied up 1-1. We take a look at one of the moments from that matchup in map number 2, and I believe this is going to be towards the tail end, when Vitality says, enough is enough, let's take the win.
So this was an interesting, well, it was a big play by Fumi Echo, right? Because initially it looked like, before this we don't get to see it, but it felt like a botched Vivian play because she missed the Fatal Links, and Sonjika even emoted after that because she was able to deny that away from her. And you'd think in that moment, like, okay, Galtech is able to get the upper hand, they get a good team fight going for them, and then Fumi Echo just is 2 steps ahead. She waits at the back bush. We saw it in the replay there as well. She goes in, Thorn of Ruin, and catches so many, and everyone else was able to collapse over that.
I gotta say, we're talking about the story of MWI here. Fumi Echo has been getting highlight plays over highlight plays, no matter what hero she's been using, especially on that Alice, really setting up for her team for success. And my goodness, Fumi Echo, this season of MWI is something different. Yeah.
Unstoppable. I don't know if the Terminator is the right call. We'll get a name for Fumi Echo in just a little bit. Our commentators, though, are giving all their emotion and giving all the energy they can for this great series. Let's see how they looked during that map number 2.
Vival just does it alone! Vival seals it all alone! There goes the real world and the Tempest of Blades, and Sonjik is nowhere to be found! What a macro play by Vitality!
What was that? What was that? Wait, I'm pretty sure that Vival didn't even have the purple buff. Yeah, Vival doesn't have it. They didn't steal it. They decided, you know what? They're actually rushing it down. We're going to walk back over to the turtle and just take him out.
Again, they're giving it their all. Always love it when they lose their minds. It's hard not to when you're casting over 2 great teams.
No, especially, honestly, I was losing my mind as well because, honestly, at that point, Viva already gave up on the purple buff and then tried to go for the turtles. I'm like, wait, that might be the bad decision. But then, Kyoe as well, she didn't retreat at all that turtle, so that was... See, even Gina was still ready. What was that? Right?
They're still trying to figure it out, and we'll give them a little bit more time to figure it out because luckily Rose was on site and had a chance to speak to Zorn. All things meta-related. Rose, what did Zorn have to say?
Hey guys, Zorn here all the way from Malaysia. How are you?
Hello guys, I'm good.
It's nice to see a familiar face here in Paris. So how has Paris been treating you so far?
I feel like this is a very good atmosphere that I alami apa?
Experience.
Experience.
Okay, now as you all know, Zorn is a pro player and not just a KOL. So I want to get your thoughts on, the meta that we have been seeing here at MWI. What are your thoughts on it?
I feel like the meta is currently, I feel like it's similar to MSC, which is the boys, which is I feel like maybe because of the current patch is still on the same page, but I feel like there's some interesting heroes that they bring here, but I feel like there's so many heroes still not coming out.
Oh, a lot of heroes have not come out, but you said a lot of interesting picks has been picked here. So do you foresee or do you perhaps think that some of these heroes will carry over to MSC? And if so, which ones?
Do you mean which one? What hero?
Ya, meta mana yang you rasa akan dibawa kepada MSC and kalau ada pun yang mana satu?
So I guess the meta which is the utility tank jungler, I feel like this basic meta for now. So this is the same meta, I guess will be the same as MSC.
Now, Zorn, you know what? You're here in MWI, you're experiencing this, but I gotta ask you, what do you think about the level of competition this year? Do you think it has improved compared to the previous years?
Definitely yes, I agree because I've seen a lot of teams that competing at a higher level, which is the difference is the gap between those teams is becoming much smaller. So I feel like there's a good improvement for women's scene.
I agree. I'm pretty sure all of us have been, surprised and disappointed with some of the games that has unfolded here at MWI. My last question, Zorn. We know that Malaysia is out of the contention for MWI, but who do you think is going to win it all?
This is a very hard prediction for me, but I feel like it's either Navi or Vitality. Those two.
Either one.
Either one. I cannot
right.
predict.
Thank you very much, Zorn. It's
Thank
good to
you.
have you here. That's it from us.
Whenever we let it out, it becomes our superpower. Now imagine an entire city being built to supercharge it. Kadir City, powered by play.
Thank you, Rose, for the interview with Zorn. His official predictions are in. Grand Finals, Navi versus Vitality. But who's he going to cheer for if they're both in the venue? I noticed he was sitting on the Vitality side. How could you not? They are the loudest in the venue.
I gotta say, he was pretty brave to be like, I don't know, could be Navi, could be. Honestly, for me, I would just say, oh yeah, Vitality, woo, for sure.
Well, we're going to the stage. The fans are getting hype, and the Vitality fans continue to jump. I don't know how they do it. How do they have so much energy? I guess they're not 34 like me. They're giving it their all, and they've been screaming at the top of their lungs, and one name has been coming to the attention. It's Vival, constantly chanting her name, and Vival is about to play once again. Now, I've got to pick your brain, LaFell, because we were talking about the hero selection from before. Correct me if I'm wrong, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I think you mentioned that Team Vitality did fall a little bit behind in the hero selection, yet they dominated that map too. So is this one of those rare moments where even though their heroes were a bit outpaced by Geltic Cyber Team, their overall skill and experience ended up overdoing the hero pick from Geltic?
Honestly, that's an amazing question, but I would actually say it was Geltic's mistake. They made such a big mistake where the best way to explain it is they lost focus, right? It looked like they were autopiloting. It looked like brain fog because they started doing things that doesn't make sense according to the draft. In fact, the very last play, Fumi Echo jumped in. That was great and all, but why didn't Geltec Cybertech check the bushes, right? Isn't that like a normal thing when we go into the late game? So it really looked like for that one, I apologize, but this is a true analysis. They were just autopiloting for that one.
Which is why we were always talking about that window, that early game. The early game has been so important from game 1. The early game has been so important to game 2. And it was the execution of Geltec in the early game for game number 2 that really lost them the battle at the very end. Like that 10K gold lead that eventually built up by Team Vitality, that was because of the early game once again.
And that concerns me because now it's one of those moments where it's like you have the hero pick, you won the pick and ban, but now your fundamentals are starting to fall. You cannot afford that against the final boss of Team Vitality. Going into map 3, they got to pick themselves up. Now, LaFell, though, the reality is we're here at the MWI. We're in Paris, and we are the home turf of Vitality, and the fans are loud. How much of an effect do you think that is happening for Geltic Cyber Team? Because they've got to listen to that.
Dude, that's huge. Like, imagine when we just started becoming talents, right? The cameras are intimidating. The lights are intimidating. After years, then we started getting used to it. But for them, they got to get used to it pretty fast. I mean, like, Hyoi, sure, maybe the Ice Queen, she can handle it, but it's a 5-player team. Everyone has to be on the same page.
That, and also Hyoi is the only one with international experience.
Yeah.
So she's here with 4 new faces, and I've spoken with a lot of, the female players when they've made their debut from last year, even the year before, and every single one of them has mentioned the lights, the stage, the audience, it all has a mental impact.
It's hard, isn't it, as a competitor, but if you want to be the best, you have to ignore all that and play the game you know. We know for a fact Celtic's Cyber team can win this series. They won map number 1 in a convincing fashion. If they can just play like that, who knows, they might take down the Titans of Team Vitality and be in grand finals tomorrow. But they've got a lot of work to do. We're tied up 1-1. Let's see how our pick and bans go.
Eternal, let's talk about this. Cassius, ban out the Boxia, the Aulus, as well as the carry. Does this not just scream like, we're respecting you and we want to take this game?
This is a completely different system or a completely different strategy, I would say, from Game 1, Game 2. The fact that Team Vitality have swapped sides with Geltec, they've really tried to facilitate the opening of this debut Hirara pick. Right? First pick Hirara here for Team Vitality. They're very confident with that. And the surprising thing is, when you're up against Hirara, do you not think that heroes like the Moskov would be more of a problem compared to the carry?
I feel like that shows that they just want to make sure that both Vivian as well as Fumi Echo has a good time, because, Hirara, jungle, damage dealers are probably going to have an EXP that's more tanky. I think they just understood in this game, as long as Fumi Echo has a good time, as long as Vivian is having a good time, Vival is just going to have a good time.
Okay, so we're talking about the EXP lane now. Because on one side we have Esmeralda, and on the other we usually see either Sora or perhaps a CC or a Yuzong sometimes even. What do you think
Freya
is the
is
best?
open. Right, even Freya is open. So this is very interesting here, because I wonder what pick Kioe will pick here, because technically 4 junglers has been banned now. Aulus has been banned, Boxia, the Gwyn, as well as the Akai. Celtic, they early picked the Esme. I respect that because there is no carry. And now they early picked the Clint to possibly say, hey, don't pick the Claude. We already have your counter. And now the Atlas has been picked up, and even the Alice. Look at the AoE that Vitality has. It seems like they want to fight.
But what do you think about the Alice into the Esme matchup? Because it's not necessarily like the best of matchups for the Alice. If Fumi Echo wants to get a good time going, usually she's the one who's playing strong side instead of Shell.
Just ignore the hater. Like, I'm not going to win against you, so I'm not going to fight against you, right? The way that you play Alice against Esme, you just try to freeze the lane on your side, get level 4, and then try to win the first turtle, and then after that, do the same thing at game number 2.
Okay, so
right?
We're expecting that kind of mentality coming into game number 3, and technically it did work out for them in game number 2, so let's see if it crossovers to their 3rd game. But of course, we are still waiting the last pick in for Team Geltec. Lilia. Okay, so they see really strong heroes for the first 3 from Team Vitality. They're picking up something of a momentum hero of their own, the Lilia, with highly fast clear and already really good base damage in the early game.
Very good against tanks like the Alice as well as the Atlas. I'm just slightly worried because going up against the Hirara, because Lilia, out of all the heroes in ML, has one of the lowest HP pool, making it so that she's extremely squishy. So a good engage by Hirara, she's dead. And we don't know what the mid is going to be. If the mid is something like an Eve or even a Farsa, this Lilia will not have a good time. So I think it's an amazing pick, but it's not without its weaknesses.
She needs to be very quick when and how she gets that level 4. Because that's the only saving grace that she has, her black shoes. The black shoes can take her out of really sticky situations, and she's going to be relying on that. So they need to be able to facilitate that with an equally strong roamer pick.
The only question is what is up right now, right? Because now the Belleric is gone. I wonder if they want to go fight fire with fire and possibly pick up something like a Gatot, something like a High Loss, someone that can bring Revitalize so that they can stay in the fight for much longer. But if they do that, they need some kind of fighter in the jungle. Because when it comes to the tanks, yeah, it's just Balman as well as the Barat. So I'm actually not entirely sure what their roamer is going to be.
I agree. I think they need counter engage. And other than the Gatot Kacha, the one hero that has been trending so much with counter engage was the Belleric. So that is a really good ban coming in from Team Vitality. And the second one, which I'm kind of 50-50 with, but it has won games, is the Minotaur. Surprisingly so, it has gained popularity, and it also can bring out the Revitalize.
Yeah, I feel like if Minotaur lasts after you see Vitality's pick in mid, it's fine. Because if they pick up an Eve, which they have not banned, if they pick up a Jushin, which they also have not banned, that might be very difficult. It looks like Vitality is on the same page as us. They're taking out the Belleric as well as the Gatot. Revitalized carriers, so now it's only high loss, which there's multiple heroes that can deal with the high loss. In fact, they can pick up a Gord, and the Gord might still work well here.
Which is why I don't like the Hylos pick. I think they need a little bit more CC to work with, a little bit more tools to work with. I understand the Hylos still has that, point and click stun, which is really great, but it's not AoE. It's not groundbreaking like something like the like Fumi Echo has on the Alice, or the Fatal Links that, of course, Vivian has on her hands right now. It's not great for counter engage.
It's like meh.
It's meh.
You walk fast a bit, and it's like, pah!
Like,
And then you're stunned.
because I would say Cho if they want.
So it looks like they're setting up for either a Balman or a Barats. Most probably a Barats here, and I think it's going to be good. But this is high risk, high reward, Eterna, right? Because they have a lot of bursts. They can go in and out, but this is one of those drafts that requires high mechanical prowess and a lot of trust. If you don't trust your team, it's going to look very bad, very fast.
And Matilda really has to be on point, I think, when she utilizes like all her resources. So with that in mind, carry was already banned by them. The gold lane is still wide open. They don't have any source of shred or burst just yet. So we're waiting on the next two picks. Without the carry, what would you utilize in the gold lane? Selena was not my first pick, but Claude still makes sense here.
It sounds like Vitality is rushing to go back home here. Selena can just make the farm so fast, get Hirara moving, and then Geltec, they don't have a lot of HP. It's just the Esmeralda, even the Matilda, right? If she gets the Flash of the Oasis, sure, she's kind of tanky. But before that, I gotta say, both teams here, they're on the same page. High octane draft, we win fast, we lose fast.
So, Barats?
I think Barats is the choice. I can see a Balman.
Barats
if they go
has
crazy,
anti-CC, right?
Yes.
So that's, I think, maybe one of the key factors that they're thinking about, because if they do go for tank jungle, they really need to work around these neutral objectives. But the choice is Balman, and Balman is highly sensitive to crowd control, which Team Vitality has a lot of.
Win fast, lose fast. We'll see how it goes.
Vitality also has a lot of wins, Eterna. So will they get another one? They're tied up 1-1, but Celtic Cyber Team refusing to bow the knee. They do not want to give up this match, and they are going to fight back. But the question is, who will be the first one on match point? It's a best of 5, and whoever wins will be up 2-1. It's Team Vitality once again going toe-to-toe with Celtic Cyber Team. Let's get Map 3 started with Regina and Gideon.
We've seen two sides of the story. One where Geltec might overcome the defending champions, or of course Team Vitality holding on to the trophy all the way to the end. Only one spot in the grand finals to fill as we jump into the land of dawn. The match score is 1-1.
And we will be witnessing another Selena game from Cine to top off this draft that Vitality has decided to field, which I think came as a bit of surprise for both of us and even the panel, as they've decided to go for this instead of any other source of burst and or even shred.
And I love the fact that they decided, you know what, the best way to deal with it from the side of GCT, we're just going to beat you up in lane. We've got a lot of pressure on every single one of these lanes if they play it well. I think EXP is probably the biggest sandbag, but mid lane is a decent amount of control.
Yep, as we're seeing right now, where they do try and attempt to at least contest with a little Wanderer, but an Abyssal Arrow landing on Coelho. The damage from Cine, the Rupture, and Lethal Ignition are starting to pay dividends, at least for now in the early game.
Yeah, they got to make sure they time those concussive blasts. And more importantly, if they happen to, snag him with an arrow, catch him with a fatal links, even a simple stun, really, that's when you can follow it out with the Selena. So I'm looking at not just the Atlas, but I'm also looking at Vival and Fumienko, if they could set things up for Cine too.
Well, I think Geltic are very careful of those potential setups. I see multiple Purifies being picked up again. You're probably forced to, considering the amount of crowd control, which was also highlighted previously, that could be detrimental for even the Balmond of KOA. And how they are actually going to create an opening for this is something we're yet to see, because it's mostly been skirmishes in the mid lane just for now.
Yep, 10 seconds left on the clock before we do see the very first turtle of this game, and immediately what's blaring alarms is where's the level 4s? Again, the waves are about to crash, but this is the most important side for important level gap for either side. They want to hit level 4 and immediately start taking first positions.
Yeah, for the Selena, maybe you could argue that even if she doesn't, but at the same time, you do feel that it does slow down a bit when you have a Selena with the amount of wave clear that she can only provide. Chell, though, will get to clear this out before eventually resetting, but the turtle goes over to Vitality and a setup from Fumieko. City landing another arrow as well. KOA has to get away, but she could not. Not even the lethal counter could save her. Guejo being chased even under the turret, and that's a win for Vitality.
Now, despite having some really good winning lanes here, Lugar should technically be okay, but a double kill already achieved is not looking great. Vitality taking a 1.1k lead. We now look down towards that top side, and they're immediately taking away the gold. Vivon will try her absolute best to try and stop the bleeding, but now you see it very clearly that, hey, this Alice, it's going to be a really big problem. They have no way to actually stop the engagement. They just have to dodge it.
Because they also have so many ways to start. Like, anyone from Vitality at this point, I feel, could just be confident enough to go in and catch GCT by surprise, which helps a lot in how the arrows eventually land, because the things get just so messy, similar to what we're seeing right now down bottom, but TENKYU at least will be safe from that.
They're probably going to re-gank it at some point, right? Go for the recall for Vivian and then look to make it happen once again. Try to steal this camp away, but now really punishing KOA.
Seriously, Fumieko all alone might just go for the solo kill. A bit of help there from Vival, but majority of the work was done there by Fumieko all alone. Now it's a potential punish that GCT are looking for, and Guejo will get the job done.
Oh, a little frustrating, of course, but it's still worth taking out the enemy jungler. KOA is currently still level 4 to Vival's level 7. 3-level difference, and stealing away camps in front of their face.
He's been doing this since game 2. Game 2, a lot of resources denied from KOA, and that still holds true for game number 3. Only difference is probably you get a bit more help from Fumieko as well. She's been always in the face of KOA on this Balmond. She's not afraid even if KOA is on this hero.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked as well, but at this point of time, we're just going to have to wait and see, right? Mid-game is when we're expecting GCT to really start picking up the pace, especially since TENKYU has yet to get that first item down. And once that first item is down, it's only ramping upwards. Purify out early.
Yeah, that was even before the first objective. Cine 2, the way that she's been landing these arrows have, I think, influenced so much of how this is not the usual aggressive Lilia early game that you're seeing from GCT. Ooh, little counter done right there. Cine, another arrow connecting onto KOA. The guiding wind might help, but Vivian will actually go for the setup. Will the follow-up be enough, though? It's going to be KOA targeted first, and they will actually find the kill. From behind, Vival goes into, and that's enough to complete this wipeout for GCT.
That was so clean. That was like so unironically clean. Initially, it was just, okay, we got this big clip coming in from Vivian, but really was there enough space and time for the rest of the team to actually collapse? And they said, you know what? Yes, we'll just do it underneath the turret. Doesn't matter. Vivian's got all the big battle spells out, and because they have no Purify, there is no escape.
Everything, all the skills that they threw, the sequence was just too perfect for Vitality in that gang. You mentioned it, they might go for another try, and that was the perfect time to do it up against TENKYU, who is clearly struggling in the gold lane matchup right now. Another arrow, the burst! The burst is just a bit too much. Guejo steps on another trap as well. Now we're starting to feel the lack of sustained heroes in the hands of GCT.
Yeah, but they need the Flask of Oasis. Another arrow connects into a Fatal Links, but still manages to pull out with the help of a buffered Guiding Winds. These are the little mechanics here, right? You're just buffering abilities upon abilities, praying that the Chain CC has a broken link.
No, they see Vival. Vival trying to go after Sonjke. That's a lot of members of GCT you spot out there, but she's still not afraid to just make her presence felt.
and they can't even sit deep in enemy territory, or at least move up into no man's land to pick up the minions. At this point, it's pretty impossible for Kyoe to try to go for a steal. She needs to close that level gap to make sure that her retribution is bigger. I'm going to assume probably close to level 10 would be most ideal.
Oh, Tokyo! Purify already used! Still gonna be okay. Sonjike and Kyoe too show up on the sides, but the damage on Kyoe is no joke. Fumi Echo gets to get away from that turret, but there goes the Circling Eagle. They might not want to commit this though.
Nah, this is a no contest. An easy no contest for Vitality. Going to deny the purple buff as well. And they're probably going to cut off the mid-tier 2 here just to make sure they secure mid-tier 1.
Just how many resources have been stolen away from GCT at this point? Vival's movements across the map have been a bit too unpredictable for GCT, or maybe they just couldn't also keep up because of the pressure that she's been doing. Look at her up against Kyoe. Even using... Oh, that wasn't the retribution. Oh!
Yeah.
Was able to iframe her way out of the lethal counter!
This is super silly. It is clear. It is clear. They don't remember every single one of Hirara's abilities. She has 4 to work with here. Gotta make sure that you remember all of them. There is a snare. There is an iframe. And most importantly, she has multiple dashes. Vitality taking full control.
They've pretty much shown us how the matchup goes. Hirara being able to play around this matchup against the Balmond, but it's also just not the Hirara making all of this possible. It's everyone being able to just accomplish their laning phases successfully and not allowing GCT to do the rotations they want.
And Vitality, at this point, they've got squatters' rights. They're basically camping in their home, sitting in their jungle, waiting for somebody to come, and just to be an absolute nuisance, they're not going to leave.
Looking at the items right now, you could, I think, see how significantly behind the EXP laner and gold laner is. It's the sides that are feeling majority of the pressure, but there could be no comparison to the jungle. I think that's almost 4K that they have to deal with, but Vivian and Fumi Echo once again are gonna go in. They're waiting for the perfect moment, and there you go, Vivian! Without the Purify, sets up for Sonjike, but she still has the black shoes, but it's space that they want. It's space that they create to steal away more and more objectives from GCT.
6 seconds left. Oh wait, the arrow actually hits, but they know punish just yet. Kyoe able to get out just in time. I don't know. This is starting to look a little risky here. A lot of the big resources have been thrown out from the side of Vitality. They're trying to back this off. The only person who can hold on is Fumi, and now they punish with Vival.
Fumi Echo on a purple buff, by the way.
Whoa, whoa.
Oh, Yubon jumping in, falling Star Moon, but Chell also dealing a decent amount of damage. Vivian too, another perfect pair. Could she go for another setup? She doesn't have the flicker, and GCT are just gonna scramble away.
This scramble is actually not really great for GCT, right? But at the same time, they kind of don't have a choice. They want to keep Vitality in check, and the only way to keep them in check is to be right up in their faces.
Another falling Star Moon, Yubon and Kuejo trying to work hand in hand just to be able to get in, but Vitality let go of the lore just as they do so. They have other things to accomplish before they commit to that.
Yep, they're going back to the fundamentals, reset up those waves. Look at that top and bottom side, both in neutral territory, and GCT are the first ones on it.
Oh.
However, with top wave pushing in, Vitality, are they going to get away with this?
They're letting it go. They don't mind that top wave pushing in. They just really want to secure this objective for themselves. GCT will settle with at least a tier 2 up top, but maybe not even, because another Abyssal Arrow from Cine will connect. That's going to be Liubon, though, a very tanky XP lane. But this time, it's not just Cine. Vival shows up. Vivian's here, too. Cine tries to run away. That goes the Fatal Links just to make sure they get out alive and pick up a kill, even before the Lord.
Oh, it's so good. And Fumi, she doesn't mind. Look at her. The unkillable EXP laner on this Alice. Absolute monster. Underneath the turret as well. Vival getting really disrespectful from all sides. I don't know if we're going to be able to beat the fastest game just yet, but I feel like Vitality are ramping it up to make sure that it's somewhat close.
If so, they'll have records of longest games and shortest games, both in their hands alone. But Vitality, that seems to be the case. They're keeping things fast. Vivian going in once again. There haven't been Purifies forced out just yet. Oh, there you go. Just as I mentioned it, 2 are already down.
Yep, big, important spells here. And We know what's going to happen.
You know, yeah.
How much you want to bet? It's either the Throne Ruin or the Fatal Links. Which do you think is going to hit more targets?
Okay, maybe I might just go for Fumieko right here, but they will focus on the turrets for now. They want to create space, they want to go for the base turrets, and that's exactly what they need to keep the pressure going for GCT.
Just letting it happen. No Wait, the arrow! It hits on the correct target. They move backwards, and yet still they maintain this pressure. I love the fact that Vitality plays textbook because they know they can guarantee the win if they just take their time.
Yeah, they're not doing much of the risky plays. Everything seems very calculated from them. Even the moments where Vival does things like this or dives. Fumieko already showing up in the back lines! But there goes Vivian with a two-man setup, and Vival is already godlike! It's a double kill, which she actually picks up, moving on to a triple and a maniac! Can she make it a savage? Yuba's the only target left, but they're gonna respect, they're gonna play it by the book. Flying clouds to where? She wants to clear the wave, but she cannot! It's a savage for Vival as Vitality take match point!
Insane game there. Vival coming out huge with a savage, making it look easy at the same time. At this point, it's Team Vivality at this point, right?
Hirara has to make her way back to the bans.
It's gotta be banned.
After what happened here, I doubt GCT want to go through that. It's all over again.
Ridiculous plays here coming in from game number 3 to turn it 2-1. We look at these plays and we see, yes, the Fatal Links hint into 2. Even the Throne Ruin to kind of make sure that they stay apart for half a second before we see the full combination from Vival. 10, 0, and 2. A literal perfect game coming out of this team.
Oh my goodness, Liu won too. I think she desperately wanted to just utilize the flying clouds to clear whatever she could, but that was just not one wave, that was a lot. As I think it's about time we break down this game and throw it over to our panel after these messages.
Two fast games put Vitality on match point, one map away from moving forward to grand finals. Celtic Cyber Team are going to have to dig deep, win the next two if they want also their spot into the grand finals. That map was another quick one, and it ends in a savage.
Yeah, honestly, that was amazing, but here's the thing, you were asking about Vival, when are you going to use the assassin? And now we got to go back to Kyoe. Why does she keep using tanks?
That's a question. That's a question because game 2, game 3, it was so clean, so fast by Team Vitality, and the main difference maker was Vival being able to pick up the assassin. So
well, that's who
will we
everybody
be
keeps
seeing
screaming.
an assassin v assassin next time?
We need that, don't we? I think we need more assassins in our life. Spice things up for sure. Vival was getting all the attention out here in the crowd for sure. Let's take a look at our first action. It's towards the tail end. This is where things really start to fall apart for Celtic Cyber Team. And man, it is tough to watch at times. Or excuse me, we go back to the beginning, and this is going to be one of those fights now where Vitality truly starts to gain a foothold in the match.
Allow me to rant just a little bit, right? Because here's the thing, Kyoe, she is moving away from her character. But here's the thing, what is character? Well, philosophers have said that character is defined by habits. What's habits is the thoughts and the activities that you do daily. And here's the thing, when you start to break character, when you move away from your natural routine, you will start to act without passion as well as perform or behave outside of your rational mind. So going from a damage dealer to a tank, we can definitely see Kyoe is not moving as she is supposed to do.
That, and also she wasn't set up for success, right? If she was on maybe a different kind of tank that like a Barrett has anti-CC, maybe it could have been different. But we already did mention in the drafts it would be either the Balman or the Barats. But the fact that they chose the Balman is so susceptible to CC. And you could even see her in that particular clip being taken out by a trap.
Let's go a little bit deeper into the match and look at around the 10-minute or so mark. And we have one of these incredible fights that ends up unfolding.
Yeah, this was the make it or break it moment, and at this stage in time, man, if you don't expect a big play from Fumi Echo, make sure that you expect it from Vivian, because she's sure to get that phalanx in, even under turret. And then the collapse after that was insane. This was the moment when the Maniac hit, and then she only had one more left. Leobon had no choice because she really needs to clear the minions, but she then technically gave it to Hirara, gave it to Viva on a silver platter, and that is one of the first savages that we've seen so far here at MWI.
Honestly, looking at that play, I really want to make sure, because right now is match point. Geltec Cyber Team, we've seen teams going back to comfort, and honestly, it hasn't worked out. But I feel like for them, they really have to, because here's the thing, KOA, you're not a meta player, right? You always play things that's outside of the meta, but it's something that you've practiced non-stop. And I also feel like KCS have seen that, right? That's why we see an unorthodox ban, banning out the Baxia, banning out the Owls, and then eventually even the Yisun Shin. We were talking about if the Yisun Shin was there, maybe they would do well.
So is this one of those cases, you go back to map 2, the Hero Select actually benefited Geltec. Did it benefit them this time around, or was it once again one of those factors of mechanics?
No. Game 1, Game 2, it felt like Geltec still had a chance, an opportunity, because it looked like Team Vitality wasn't winning on the drafts per se, but in game number 3, KCS really set the team up for success, right? Winning lanes, they were able to facilitate that as well. I feel like going up against the very best, it comes back down again to the drafts.
Taking a look at Vitality's dugout, they're in there, and you notice not a lot of really talking going on, strategizing, and I think because they're in their flow state, they just feel comfortable. They know they're in control, right? This would be a much different story if they had lost. They'd been down 2-1. I'm sure they would have been huddling up, but right now, nice and relaxed, calm, LaFell, they look good.
This also shows that they have one thing in mind and they don't want to disrupt it, right? Because right now I feel like KCS is having checkmate after checkmate when it comes to the bans. So I feel like the entire team, they're on the same page. Make sure KOA doesn't play. Step number 1. Step number 2, make sure that Fumi Echo gets out of lane. Step number 3, win.
Well, the club championship update is well underway. And from what I'm hearing, Trev is traveling. He's over on stage 3. What's going down over there?
With the semi-final action well underway in MWI over at the Allianz Vault, I've managed to slip away, meet up with Chris at the Lenovo Legion Gauntlet, and he's going to update us on everything Dota at the moment.
Yeah, and you come at the right time, actually. When we're talking Club Championship, this is a big moment for week number 2. Falcons Key being crushed right this second. I literally, Slacks is right behind us getting this done. That is a massive, massive result up against the team they've gone up against with VG. But for them, Falcons only getting 200 points. They topped their group. They only come in with 200 points. It has been a miserable start for Falcons on this side of the arena.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same over at the Allianz Vault as well. Falcons, both teams dropped out in the quarterfinals too. So it's left down to Vitality playing off in their semi-final now. Faced a bit more pressure than they thought. And Na'Vi straight through to the grand finals as well. So that's another grand final appearance for Navi over at the Allianz Vault in MWI. Stay tuned. More Club Championship action soon.
There. For every click, every clutch, every respawn. We were there for the years of grind, and we're here. Now, the proud founding partner of EWC, powering the biggest event in gaming, shoulder to shoulder with the world's best, making history. Greatness deserves a stage. Lenovo Legion, reach your impossible.
Thank you, Ton and Trev, for that club championship update. Vitality circled up. Let's get back on that stage. They're ready to go. Again, they're feeling confident. They're feeling comfortable. Just a touch, by the way, on that little interview that we had over on stage 3 with Trev and Ton. Falcons also getting eliminated early. Obviously, making it here for MWI was a big deal to the knockout stage, but they only get, like, I think a collective total of 200, 400 points. So eliminated early on stage 3. They're having a tough run. The club championship race is looking tough for them, at least for the first 2 weeks. But for Na'Vi, it is all guns ablaze. They're already in first place, and on top of that, in the club championship race, and on top of that, they just secured a spot into the grand final. So Na'Vi looking like one of the strongest orgs out there early on in just week 2 for the club championship. Now, back to reality, where we currently are. Team Vitality versus Geltec Cyber Team. It is 2-1. Vitality is currently up, and Geltec needs to come back. The pressure is at a boiling point for the Geltec Cyber Team ladies. What's the game plan here?
I'm gonna go for Occam's Razor again. Do what's obvious, and I feel like in the first 3 pick, get KOA's hero. If not, it's just gonna get banned out, and then you're gonna be scratching your heads again, and then afterwards, it's just like, well, I guess we lose, because game number 1, Vival got the Fredrin, not a great jungler, lost. And then game number 2 as well as 3, KOA got the Boxia as well as the Bellman, not really that great, and then lost. There seems to be a pattern, break that pattern.
So what's the hero select for KOA? What is the win condition for Geltec Cyber Team?
I feel like there's plenty. When we're talking about KOA, she has so many unique picks under her belt, but obviously we're thinking about the assassins. She's picked up the Benedetta in the past, that's out meta. Fanny is something that should still find some success, but we haven't seen either. Lancelot, the Lings of the world. KOA is a highly mechanical player. That's the reason she was given the term Ice Queen
yep.
in the first place, right? Everyone was really stunned with her exceptional gameplay. I would say top 3 in the league right now when it comes down to junglers. So give her a draft that allows her to perform at that level.
I gotta say, even in 2024, one of the times she got a title Ice Queen, when she was willing to pick up a Julian when Julian was really not in the meta, and she still did well with it. Right now, we are jumping into draft here. Geltec Cyber Team is gonna be first pick, blue side, Vitality, second pick, red side. We're playing Expanding Rivers, so this is gonna be a great opportunity for the teams to have very strong side leaders. And now, banning out the Gwyn, banning out the Atlas for Geltec Cyber Team, for Vitality, banning out the Harara, banning out the Marcel, and now an Esmeralda gets banned up as well. So Geltec, based on what's happening in MWI, good early picks are that Belleric, that Carry. Harara has been banned out now. In terms of the junglers, I don't know. Actually, now I've noticed it, we also didn't see much Freya, which I feel a bit weird for, but hey, c'est la vie.
It really depends on the team, I feel. Like some teams favor the Freya a little bit more than others. And in this particular matchup, we don't really see too much of Freya, but obviously still keep your eyes out for that. Geltec here, if they do want to set up for a assassin in the jungle, maybe pick up something that usually counters it. Like the Moskov is still open. That's something that they can go for in the early phase of the drafts. With the Paquito also banned out, it's opening up that possibility even more.
Yeah, honestly, when you're playing Expanding Rivers, I feel like this is one of those maps, if you want to play double fighters, it's actually quite viable. But that does mean you have to pick up an early, either Kimi, Yusin Shin, or a Freya. Because I feel like Freya also enables quite a few double fighter matchups.
You want to go Freya Aulus for Geltec? You know, fall back to the Aulus. I know it's not an assassin, but it is one of her priority heroes.
If they want to go for an Aulus, they're going to pick up something like a carry, because Aulus can deal with the front line-ish, but not really. He's kind of there more of a distraction rather than a true finisher. So I respect the carry pick and still opening up the possibility of, honestly, any picks on the jungle.
Okay. I think they're going to leave the gold lane matchup for later. They can do it on red 3. What is a hero that is left open? Do they want to prioritize their mid lane here first? Do they want to go for something like the Eve that has found them success if they want to control River?
I'm with Leo, honestly, where Leo said Eve is probably the strongest mid laner right now, and I do agree. Very tanky, a lot of damage, a lot of range. They pick up the Belleric first, as well as the Claude here. So this is very interesting. Not saying it's bad, but it is a losing matchup against the carry. So why do they pick up the Claude early? What are they hiding?
That's why I thought it would be red 3, because when it comes down to matchups, in the, well, I would say, yeah, early game, like 1 to 3, carry definitely dominates the lane, but Claude, in the longer scheme of things, especially when he already has his ult, it can still favor the Claude in moments like that. So are they waiting for the mid matchup first in order for them to choose? Like, are they choosing between the Lilia and the Yve? Or maybe they found success on the Selena earlier on. It turns out the Selena is one of Cini's power picks. Maybe they want to see if there's an opportunity to pick that up again.
Well, Geltec has an opportunity to pick up a jungler right now, and they do. They pick up the Aulus as well as the Lapu Lapu. Good news, bad news. Good news, they get strong picks. Bad news, they're showing their hand. There's no deception in this kind of draft. So now, Cassius should not fumble the ball here. They know the matchups. They don't know mid, but who cares? Sini's pretty good.
What's the counter to the Owlers? Do they want to go for something like assassin heavy? But I feel like the window becomes very limited because the Owlers get strong very quickly in the mid game.
Honestly, Baxia wouldn't be a bad pick here.
You want to go Baxia?
Because you already have the Belleric. The Belleric can change CC a little bit for the Owlers, especially if you wait for Owlers to use the first skill. And then the Baxia is there just to reduce the healing from Owlers as well as Lapu. Because so far, Vitality has won early just because they keep winning those trades. Baxia is a trade winner. But for now, they do pick up the Eve. So I feel like Vitality, they're keeping their options open. Because Baxia is one answer. The other answer is if you want to be fast, you can pick up something like a Suyo. Hasn't done well here. And honestly, going up against Carry, Lapu, and Owlers, I'm actually quite okay to pick up a Ling. I feel like this is one of those games, you're looking at this matchup, Ling doesn't get punished that hard.
Yeah, there's no lockdown potential so far, right? With the Lapu being picked and the carry. That's why I thought that maybe they want to prioritize something like the Moskov. But obviously, they chose the carry to set up for their own Owlers pick. I want something a little crazier though, you know? I want something like maybe an X-Borg jungle. Again, it's still something that I really do enjoy seeing in this current meta. Or maybe even something crazier like the Assassins of the world. But obviously, they are trying to set up for it. You do see the Kaja being banned out. So they are opening up more options for Viva. Oh, okay, well, there he goes.
Yeah, because Galtech see this coming. They don't have crowd control, right? At most, they have slows. And Lapu's stun, it's very predictable. Sure, Eve might have difficulty avoiding it, same as Belleric, but a very fast assassin. Honestly, I'm looking at the draft even more. There's a lot of assassins that can really do well here, even the Hayabusa. So Galtech, I don't think they will have enough bans to really shut down Vival, and that's kind of scary.
Vival has a lot of heroes. Even though we've only seen her on a few picks this time around here at MWI, which were mostly tanks to begin with, she has a lot that she can utilize. So I want to see them really like pinned down on it. I mean, the Suyo is still definitely an option because...
Wait, no, I am seeing an Akai. Akai is available too.
It is.
They have an Eve as well as a Claw. They have enough damage, right? And they, with that Akai, they can punish all three heroes of Galtech.
Force, carry, purify.
Honestly, just shut down QA and then you're good, right? Start QA with 0, 3, and 1. You're off to the races, and now even the Lilia gets banned out. So this is looking more and more like they're setting up for one more tank here. I mean,
gets banned.
Okay, you know what? We know each other so well. You know, at this point, we're in his ears somehow.
Somehow, some way, the Akai gets banned. So again, Suyo is an option, which is why maybe they banned out the Lilia, right? Lilia, heavy burst, heavy damage in the early stage of the game. Suyo, very susceptible to that early game magic damage. So they set up for the Arlet first. That would have been a perfect Akai pick in if they were able to combo it with the Arlet as well, but it's not going to be available to them right now.
Yeah, I actually feel like maybe even Belleric is enough-ish for this Arlet as an activator. Because other than that, I really don't think there's too many more junglers that can really activate for the Arlet. So now for Galtech, they need a very heavy front line here because Lapu can dive, Aulus can stay in the front, but not alone. He needs a friend. So what is going to be a good friend here? I think a Gatot would be quite well. Other than that, am I missing something here? Atlas is banned, Belleric has already been picked.
I don't think there's room for Minotaur.
They go for the... Okay, listen. I know there's a lot of anti-tanks from the side of Vitality, but the Glorious Pathway negates the slows coming in from the RWM, so maybe. And here's the thing, Galtech, they want to play how they usually play, which is force fights. I move forward, you fight me back. Bunga, you die, I die, someone wins.
Which is why the Belleric is still really good in this matchup.
Yeah.
Because that's what they want. They want people to dive onto him. So I'm surprised with the next picks as well. I'm surprised with the Valentina pick. Obviously, you can pick up the real-world manipulation. It could definitely put things in your direction, and you can also copy the ultimate from Arlet. So there is creativity and playability for this Valentina to work.
Yeah, and now the Nolan gets picked up. So again, the story of the entire series here, win fast, lose fast. Although I do have to say, this time, both teams have pretty solid scaling. So we might actually go to the late game, maybe 70 minutes.
Will the lights finally go out on the dark horse roster run of Celtic Cyber Team? Or will the sun shine on them one more time to force a Game 5? Or is this when Team Vitality shuts the door on their competitor, moves forward to Grand Finals, and once again secures a championship? All that and more to figure out as we head in to Map 4. It's Team Vitality versus Celtic Cyber Team. Brigida, Gideon, let's see what Map 4 is to bring.
And we're excited to bring you all the action here from the land of Dawn right to your screens here at MWI. The defending champions, as already put, with a composition that's looking pretty good, but I gotta give it to Celtic. That second half really caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting the Valentina and the Hylos to really pull this comp together.
It completely changed our impression of how the game could potentially go, simply because I think it was also able to, if not balance out what we thought were lacking, but also complement the idea that we were expecting from them. It's looking like a really rundown type of composition that you could just expect to fastly move around the team fights.
Yep, speaking of fastly move, we're already seeing right here, right now, they want the Lethal Wanderer bad, but Nolan is nowhere to be seen. And with that, that's going to give you plenty of information as we see Nolan going vertically into enemy territory.
Oh, they're gonna not meet here in the purple buff. They were completely aware of the movements, and Guejo's probably gonna catch it a bit too late.
That's okay. It's still at least retribution away, and then you're gonna run. And there's nothing you can do. Yeah. Nolan's particularly hard to catch in the early stages of the game, and now that he has purple buff, even more so. But now we start looking towards Fumiko's lane. A really nice freeze and a good call by Liu Blanc to say, hey, you know what? Get your boy, get everybody here. We're expecting another engagement. Help me get this wave out, and then we can go back to neutral states.
Yeah, they're playing it both aggressively on the sides, but they are not overstaying for too long enough to get punished, because GCT, seemingly with the rotations that we've been discussing or with the lineup that they have, could be quick to do just that in order to provide some respo. We're seeing once again another attempt potentially up top, but Vival has different plans in mind. Vivian and Vival are just trying to scout out Kyoe.
Yep, I mean, for the longest time, Kyoe was already revealed on the map, and Vival right now has some decent damage, but needs to catch Kyoe without her cooldowns. It's the only way they're going to be able to make this work.
That's what I'm thinking. Does Vival actually burst down Kyoe, especially if they catch them off guard as the Nolan? Because I feel like that could be one of the go-to plans for Vitality if they want to make things a bit more simpler on their end.
They absolutely can, but they need Vival to have a lead first. Damage reduction is a really powerful stat, and only very few heroes actually have access to them. Luckily, we got two of them already in the Lapu Lapu and the Aulus, making it a really big difference in how long these fights are going to go. Man, that Concussive Blast is doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, they poked down Cindy to half HP, forcing her to recall even before this objective. I think at least Chell has been able to double lane to a certain extent, so Vitality are just really focusing on the farm, at least for now. But oh, wait, Vival might find Tokyo here, but at least Tokyo does get to find a way out with a flicker.
Oh, luckily, denied that second wave, and this will mean that the grab does go over into Claude's hands. Now the next fight begins.
Liu Blanc, bravest fighter. Vival's actually very low. Vitality have very little ways to contest this, but do they actually find a way around it? It's a no. Kyoe still secures it with the retribution. Vivian has to flicker out, but Liu Blanc and Kyoe are actually going for the chase. That's going to be first blood for GCT.
Okay, not bad. At least they get one into Vivian. Not exactly ideal to lose one of your team members, but at least Vivian hit 4 before she went down. Timers are still very low. 4 seconds, she's already back up, and now attacking on the bottom side. Guess what? Claude ain't that easy, especially with fighter emblems. So much sustain.
But I think that was a huge advantage, really, that GCT got to make out of that simple poke they got to do onto Cine, and even the reaction from Vival. So now they've somewhat gotten a bit more control across the map, but Kyoe looking very low. Still not enough to take her down.
Yep, the people who want to burst her down can't catch her without the cooldown. Everybody else just doesn't have enough burst to finish her off. And even so, we see that GCT, honestly, this has been a very honest game from both sides. No sly movements, no overly thought out plans. It's very straightforward. We're looking to play it and keep it simple. Vitality. So far, we've only seen the biggest play, Vival trying to catch out TENKYU. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that again, but they're readjusting to move a lot of their forces to the top side of the map.
Yep, we might see a bit more of that come, especially here towards the purple buff. Vitality are not letting go of this push. TENKYU already has to deal with a bit of damage, but now they're going to respond back with the Glorious Pathway. Vival, though, just goes right in. There's a Cleaving Axe as a response from Kyoei, and I think they deny the purple buff, and the real-world manipulation too falling into place. The stuns from Liuban are actually going to connect. They find the trade onto Vival, and now City and Vivian just have to escape, but do they have the tools? This is Liuban going for the chase. The stun lands, and that's another kill over to GCT.
Beautifully played by both sides, but most impressively, Liuban was able to respond in time to catch all three of the members into the Raging Slash after the Bravest Fighter, and now they look for turrets.
Oh, Fumieko does use the final slash, will get away safely, but is very low on HP. Might not be able to set up for this turtle, and even Vival doesn't seem to be ready for this just yet. Vivian will be showing up, however, and City is back too.
Oh, they're trying to zone them out here, and they successfully do so. They get, oh no, not a full reset. And unfortunately, Vitality will take the turtle off of that. GCT, a little unlucky there, but so far this is why Yves is one of the best mages that we have in the meta. Are they going to be able to catch this?
Oh, they give up that tier 1 down bottom in exchange of the turtle, since Chell had to participate in that too. Warak's pickup already there for Fumieko. Could Vitality potentially be a bit more aggressive now in terms of the team fights? Because so far, based on what we've been seeing, it's more of like a back and forth between GCT, but it's always GCT being the first to actually position themselves.
Yeah. And better yet, they've been taking the initiative as well, right? They're not just going to take it lying down anymore. They're continuously trying to find opportunities. Vival looking to intercept TENKYU. Rest of them zoning them out. Vivian has Flicker, so she's going to be fine, but that's a pretty big battle spell to lose. This top side, they find it. Great patience from Vival.
Vivian did burn the Flicker there, but I think her passing through that route eventually allowed Vitality to get away safely too, but that was a much more favorable trade for them. They definitely got a kill and turret up top, which probably could hand back the lead towards Vitality this time, but Wrath of Dryad already forced out of Vivian! Fracture coming in from Vival, and now they just focus on Kyoei! The strength of the real-world manipulation is something you're really seeing when Vitality decides to punish.
Yeah, but GCT, they gotta make sure that they do their due diligence, right? They gotta remember, if Vitality's making like a, oh, if we think this person is solo, would a solo player be walking up this far up? Never at this level of play, never in high level, unless they're trying to get into your head. Then there's another layer to add.
This is currently a lead that's already back in Vitality's hands. It's just continuously going to grow from this point onwards as we look at Chell already prioritizing the DHS on the Claude. So you could really expect that they might be prioritizing a bit more of the fights early on rather than just scaling in a bit more of the macro. Oh, but the Glorious Pathway is already used by TENKYU here.
They just want to make sure they get out of this safely, right? They don't, it looks like they're not going to go for the contest because they don't have the first position. Neither do they have enough information about whether or not they can walk through Tribe Rush or maybe through mid lane. It's just not worth the risk, especially after what TENKYU had to go through. Down by bot side is going to be a upward spiral for Kyoei, right? Just gonna have to farm as much as she can. Unfortunately for a hero like Aulus, the jungle just isn't enough. Similarly like Nolan, you gotta go into the wave every once in a while.
But this Nolan also picked up the Malefic gun just now. So you could expect a lot more damage. It's currently being surrounded though, but there will be help. Vivian too, coming from behind! That's Wrath of Dryad! The final slash did not connect, but I think it's gonna be enough to at least take down TENKYU. GCT did not expect that quick rotation to come in from Vitality, and they still want more. Vivian going for the chase. Fumieko dashing in with a vengeance. Chell who ends up blazing duets. Fractures from Vitality. Damages everywhere to take down 3 from GCT.
Real unfortunate here. Hey, Luon, they're going to make a try, but unfortunately, if you're not going to commit the flicker, it's just not enough.
Oh, Tokyo too, trying to find a trade cheat. Does find Fumi Echo, but they lose out on too much.
I mean, at this point, Vitality understand they've all the early game heroes who've hit their power spikes, they're ready to go. But even better, if you pull up the item list, I'm fairly confident that Vival is already like 2, maybe 2.5 items, arguably 3 items at this point.
Yep, we get to check that later on as Quajo just tries her best to clear this minion wave in mid, and there you have it.
2.5 items, now slowly building up. Oh, whoa, Chell, let's calm down here. Yeah, it'd be a really bad time to give over a shutdown over to GCT at this point of time, because we look at GCT's items, right? Lubon is kind of the only one who can really compete with some of the members of Vitality. It really depends on the advantages. On the opposite end, Kyoe, 2 items, but not enough attack speed to really start benefiting off of all the extra benefits from Awless. Not to mention that it's going to go for the endless battle. Just need a little bit more burst to sustain through the power, sustain through the pain.
Yep. So at this point, it's really Lubon who you probably expect to lead the charge, if any, for GCT. But do they really want to risk it at this point? Because they get spotted out in mid. There goes the real final slash, already committed onto Quajo, but that's just space. That's just time that Vitality are able to buy.
And they move away. 3.4, 3.6 now as it continues to skyrocket for Vitality. I'm expecting it to end up closer towards 6 to 7k. The 7k depends on whether or not a fight breaks out, but 6k if they get all the outer turrets from this point onwards.
Yep.
And I think that Vival, very happy with everything that has happened. Nobody can stop him, right? There is only one Kyoe. Nobody else has a point-and-click stun. And even for Sanj, still needs to apply the Terrify 2 times to trigger it to happen with a Shadow Strike. So, I don't know. Vitality, the way that they're going in and out of these fights, it's just too much to deal with.
I guess at most it's if you get the Wrath of Dryad or the Final Slash, but Vivian actually goes in to use it first. They really want to take the space turret. Chell trying to focus down on this objective, but still GCT are heavy on the defense. Kyoe pushing them away. Lubon jumping in with the Bravest Fighter, but the Land Shaker does not connect onto anyone. GCT are forced to disengage.
Unfortunate. They really needed that Land Shaker to connect to Cine. But now, underneath the turret, there's still a possibility of that final slash. And I'm waiting for that big play by Fumiyako, but I think that Vitality says, hey, calm down, girl. Not right now. Not right now. Wait till the next Lord. I guarantee you GCT is going to walk out.
I think they're trying to constantly remind each other to just not give any openings to GCT, especially now that we're finally seeing that 6 to 7k gold lead that you've previously mentioned as expected. But even the panel too, they also brought up a point about this potentially getting to the 16 to 17-minute mark, but I'm not sure if Vitality want to make it to that point, especially now that you're looking at a lineup which could really heavily scale into the late game.
Well, there's only 2 ways that can happen. Either number 1, Kyoe somehow steals the Lord, this next upcoming Lord. It's the second one that's spawning, by the way, so it is kind of, difficult to chunk down, especially since Vitality are all over level.
Wait, speaking of all over the place, they're actually trying to pick a fight here in the orange buff. Kyoe already bursted down heavily by the damage coming in from Vival, whereas Fumi Echo trying to go in a 1v1 versus Tokyo, but the blazing do it from Chell! She barely made it out alive there, but the damage is going to be enough. Vival trying to go for more targets. There goes another kill onto Tokyo, or Kyoe as well. Did GCT really want to fight them there?
Honestly, looking at everything, GCT came out on top.
Yeah.
They were 6.6k down, got an even 50-50 trade against their opponents, used the same amount of battle spells, the same amount of ultimates, and yet came out despite the huge economic lead coming in from Vitality. We'll have to look at the spread of where the gold actually is. I'm guessing most of it is actually on Vival, but a really good attempt because now, by the time the Lord actually spawns, it's a full reset.
Come to think of it, it's actually surprising that Vitality seem to have used, if not all, most of their resources just to get those kills against GCT. Even the entries from Chell with the Blazing Duet felt like it took a bit too long before we could actually feel majority of the damage to come through. But at least Vitality still get the advantage in terms of the Allure.
The Lord was inevitable. I would have liked to see GCT actually do the exact same move, but just maintaining that distance constantly, playing the footsies against Vitality just to make sure, hey, you may get first position, but at least we know all of your first positions.
Okay. I think somehow the damage is a bit more expected to come through. That the Lightning Truncheon already locked in for Sonj. And Tokyo's already completed the Trinity as well for this carry. But I think the question remains, what does Sonj actually pick up for the IMU to really make sure that they get at least an advantage against Vitality in terms of the counter engage? Is it really the Wrath of Dryad that they could really make the most out of, or could it be the final slash?
I don't know. I'm thinking
RWM?
I think it has to be the RWM. There's just nothing else like it, especially when you have a glorious pathway on your side. At least you can slow them down, but here comes the next upcoming fight. I don't know if Vitality want to commit to this right now, because they still have that second wave, but now, look at Vival, literally playing with her food. Keep in mind that a majority of that 9K lead is because of Vival.
Oh, that's spicy. Liubon trying to take on this 1v1, but there's also a separate team fight happening in mid. Kuecho right under the real-world manipulation as Liubon goes down in the hands of Vival. And that's exactly what we were asking. This is such a brave decision to come in from Liubon, but at least they get to defend the base.
This is disgusting. Disgusting stuff coming out from Vival right now. And the rest of the team is working like a well-oiled machine, denying space, making sure that nothing feels safe. It feels like GCT, every time they open up a bush, it's a minefield out there.
Yeah, who do you actually send to do that? It's mostly supposed to be Kuecho, right? Already having to pick up the immortality as well, but even then the burst damage might be a bit too much to handle. The final slash gets touched somehow here by Kyoei, but even as she just tried to clear, you could see how difficult she had to how the difficulty she had to deal with in terms of surviving the damage from Vitality.
Yeah, but now Vitality, they crack their knuckles, they sit back. We got the 9K lead, guys. The next Lord is where we must end it. First, we need to make sure that GCT doesn't get to the 42K mark comfortably, right? They're going to eventually hit it. There's no going around that, but we can make their life a living hell.
No one's aware that Vival's there in that bush too. GCT have seemed to understand that they might need to group together a bit more, and there have been some movements down bottom, but they just can't confidently push further. They have barely little idea of where Vitality are currently positioned at the map.
Oh my goodness. After looking at the damage dealt and damage taken, it's kind of difficult to argue that GCT doesn't have enough damage, but the truth is they just don't have enough items. They don't have enough gold. And finally, the Malefic Roar is out for Kyoei.
Oh, Fumieko going in, tries to dive, goes for Sonjke. Sonjke steals away the final slash, but they're still yet to go for the counter engage. Just chill and Viva from the back! They make sure that this is gonna be a clean wipeout! Immortality pop for Kuejo. She's the only one left alongside Liubon, but it's a maniac and it's a potential savage once again! Vival takes 2 savages in this series as they walk their way to the grand finals potentially!
Oh my goodness. What a game this was. From not only outplays, we finally come to the outclass. The title defenders are here and are wanting to stay. Welcome to the grand finals. We missed you here.
The MWI champions of 2024 and 2025 will meet at the grand finals of this year. It wasn't as clean as their previous run. They've been dropping games, they've been having long games, but eventually Vitality still make it back to the top.
And of course, true sportsmen, despite being defending title champs, they're still going to have their fist bumps down. But with every competitor that we see have to leave, it breaks my heart to see Geltec put up one hell of a fight. Game 1 gave me so much confidence that maybe their hero pool was bigger than we thought, but the comforts, they need to expand how comfortable they are on multiple heroes, especially when you're at the top.
And I cannot get over these 2 savages brought to us by Vival in just a single series, 2 games straight up against GCT. That was a statement brought to us right there by this jungler from Team Vitality.
So happy for everybody involved here, especially for those at Vitality. We're going to be throwing it over to have an even review with them right now.
First and foremost, congratulations on yet another grand finals appearance. Absolutely phenomenal performance. Of course, coming into this event, everyone expects you guys to perform at this level. Now you're in grand finals. How do you deal with the pressure of living up to such high expectations?
It has always been our place to be in the grand final, so I guess this is where we belong.
It's a right. It's a right for them to be here. They were invited. They were invited to be here.
Absolutely phenomenal, and with good reason.
And of course, the home ground heroes right here, Team Vitality. The crowd goes wild for you guys. And you guys have definitely earned the place in grand finals. Now we would like to invite Galtech to please hand over your keys to Cine from Vitality. Thank you, Galtech. You guys did EECA really, really proud. You fought well and valiantly. Now, Cine, how does it feel like holding the key of your opponent? I know you guys have been looking forward to meeting Galtech, but how does it feel really, knowing that you defeated them?
It feels I'm really grateful to be holding their key, I guess.
Very grateful. Now, the next one, it's going to be a grudge match. 2024 MWI winners going up against you guys, the MWI 2025 winners. They were the ones that took the win from you. Tainting your golden road. Is there anything you would like to say to them?
Maybe we want to get revenge on them because of the 2024 grand final.
Maybe.
We definitely want to get revenge.
Yeah, they definitely want to take revenge. So yes, that's right. This is Team Vitality heading to the grand finals. Take your walk of victory!
And of course, to the fans' delight, it is time for Vitality to crush yet another key. This is Galtech's key going. Time to set it up and crush them. And technically only one key to crush before Vitality can keep their throne as the undisputed queens of MWI. They won last year and they're looking to win this year again. It is time to turn that crusher on. As always, one dream shattered and the other one stays alive for tomorrow. It is time to get ready for the crusher. Vitality making it to grand finals. Obviously the fans will be there and back. These guys are ridiculous. The vibes are looking incredible. The vibes are immaculate at the MWI, and you know Vitality will be celebrating because these guys, they will be back tomorrow for grand finals in style. So make sure you're there tuning in for this. That's gonna be ridiculous. Looking forward to the grand finals. Without further ado, let's enjoy the vibe and take a look at the highlights.